talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Score a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 1 minute past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. David Seaman's told talkSPORT Arsenal should not start Mikel Merino up front over Victor Gyökeres, despite the midfielder scoring the equaliser and almost nabbing the winner at Chelsea.
He drops back quite a lot. Whereas when you've got Gyökeres in there, he's an out-and-out striker. You know, he gives you that option of holding the ball up and then being able to get out. But it depends. It's a great option to have.
Arteta's proud of his Arsenal players for a hard-fought draw at Stamford Bridge following a difficult week and more injuries. Gabby Agbonlahor calls it a decent result.
You got a point against probably your biggest rivals this season. Away from home, they've got to come to you now. At the Emirates, where you'd back Arsenal, so it's not a bad point for Arsenal.
Reece James told us the 1-1 draw was a statement result for Chelsea. Enzo Maresca has no complaints about Caicedo's first half red card. Johan Viss is closer to making his Newcastle debut. Eddie Howe says the forward has played a full training game and will play another this week. Newcastle versus Spurs is live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. Now, we're told the spate of keepers going down injured, allowing managers to get instructions on, needs eradicating from the game. Former Premier League ref Chris Foy says IFAB are looking at it.
We do see tweaks in the laws of the game. You know, we've got a World Cup year coming up. There's always things on the agenda, so I would imagine this will certainly be one of them.
And ahead of the second Ashes test on Thursday, Bryden Carr says England are ready to face the man who won the first test for Australia, Travis Head.
If he does open the batting again, we've got set plans that, we'll look to use. But again, I don't think, anything changes from a mindset thing.
England have just 2 wins from their last 20 test matches at the Gabba. There's more Ashes content on talkSPORT's Cricket YouTube.
talkSPORT News.
Sir Keir Starmer will give a speech later defending last week's budget, and there's more bin misery for people in Birmingham. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. For a limited time only, get 20% off a set of 4 premium tyres in our Black Friday event. Book today at quickfit.com and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Wet and windy right across the UK. Possible flooding in South Wales and North West England. It's cold in the northwest, milder elsewhere.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan alongside Martin Keown, and we're live on talkSPORT. So 10-man Chelsea draw 1-1 with Arsenal at Stamford Bridge. Does it represent a good point for the Gunners? Meanwhile, is there a striking disconnect developing between the Spurs players and their fan base? Also today, was it only a matter of time before Glasner reverted back to the transfer window? Is anyone buying Paqueta's sympathy play? Tactical timeouts, cheating or gamesmanship? Does a new Celtic manager kill momentum? And might Wolves achieve uninvincible status? Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keown, we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
It seems the theatre world, the film world, Simon, the music world, everybody seems to listen to this show. I was sent an interview over the weekend. Chris Foggin, film director. Chris, good morning to you. He's directed a movie, I think Tinseltown, that's coming out very shortly.
Right. Is that with Kiefer Sutherland?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was interviewed in the red carpet somewhere by our own Emma Kerwin, who comes in and does news bulletins in here. And he was talking very favourably about the show, how it's must listen. He's a huge fan of yours. And of course, Stephen Graham, the actor's a fan of it as well.
Course, yeah.
And then another bit of news, we might be joined on Wednesday, yet to be confirmed, by John Lydon.
Oh, looking forward to that. Arsenal fan, isn't he?
He's a big Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
A former Sex Pistol, of course.
John Lydon, yeah.
John Lydon, once Johnny Rotten.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, now you're talking.
Iconic Johnny.
That'd be a good listen.
Fantastic.
I'm going to be thrilled if he comes through that door. We're looking at Wednesday for that.
I tell you who's a big fan as well. He's invited me to play in a paddle tournament. It's Jack Draper. He's got a paddle tournament over in London in about 2 weeks' time. Invited me to that, but told me that he's a massive fan of this show.
Excellent. Well done, you. And well done, Jack. Arsenal Invincible, Martin Keown, good morning.
Good morning.
Did you think your boys were going to do it yesterday at Stamford Bridge? 10-man Chelsea.
I don't think Chelsea are ever going to get a better chance, are they, really? When you think that two of those centre-halves who've been probably the best in Europe were missing, I thought the two lads coming in, it was a little bit shaky, but I thought Nketiah particularly really played his way into the game. Credit to Chelsea. You know, they had, I thought they were overly motivated or over-aroused, is a comment that Simon usually uses.
Yeah. When I'm sat next to
Caicedo was, I don't know what was going on there, but, you know, I know you've got to be aggressive, but I think he got the balance wrong. He probably did Arsenal a favour.
Yeah. Well, is it a good point for Arsenal or a missed opportunity in their eyes as well? This was Arteta after the game.
Really intense. You could sense from the beginning that every duel, every action has something on it. Two teams very willing to win, and not much football. It was a lot of restarts, a lot of free kicks, stops, a lot of yellow cards. So not a lot of fluidity. But after the sending off of Caicedo, obviously we wanted to settle the game. We didn't manage to do that. We had more yellow cards. We had 4 yellow cards. Obviously, those players were constantly targeted to try to even the game in terms of numbers. And at halftime, we said, okay, let's pause it now. Let's now get what we have to do, very clear what the intention and how we're going to dominate the game. In the first action, long ball gives a free kick, wide free kick, corner, consider set piece. So then the momentum shifts, and emotionally, the team have to react to that. We managed to get some good spells.
Yeah, at the same time, though, Martin, when it goes to 10 men so early in the game, I often think, right, that this is Arsenal's now. This, you know, the team that's got 11. This is their big moment, but it doesn't always work out like that, and I never really know why. Because it's a huge advantage to the side who keeps 11 on the pitch.
Yeah, you'd have thought obviously Arsenal would have taken the momentum, so there's a tinge of disappointment there. But I think Chelsea, that's the 4th time this season that they've been asked to go to 10 men. It hasn't gone well a few times. They've changed the system. Yesterday, I thought they did quite well. Fernandes just dropping back into the 4, so it was 2 banks of 4. It was quite difficult for Arsenal. And then the period when they scored, the start of the second half, you settle it all down. They scored 2 minutes in from a set piece, which was a big blow for Arsenal. But when they got back into the game, Jim, and then, of course, they had to sacrifice, didn't they, Zupimendi. I call him Super Mendy. He's that good. I think he's almost the most important player alongside Declan Rice. Took him off. Went after Chelsea. It got a little bit scrappy. They got a bit disjointed. They didn't quite have that rhythm, but you'd expect that. A lot of players coming back from injury, Jim, that came off the bench.
But do I get the impression this morning, rightly or wrongly, you're putting the emphasis more on Chelsea coming up short with 10, as opposed to Arsenal going for the throat and winning it?
When you consider the away games that Arsenal have played in this season and the week they've had, you know, again, these are big games, Jim. You know, local rivals.
Yeah, but
Spurs.
this was a big game yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And they went into the game hampered with injury. The back 4 at the end of the game, there was only one member of the regular back 4 still on the pitch. Calafiori had to go off because he'd had a booking. Supermendy, who sits in, he's the sort of structure, the player that sits so that Declan can now find this new position. So all in all, I think Arsenal will be happy with that. I think actually it's not a bad point. It was more important that Chelsea didn't win this game.
I think it's a good point. I think it's an example of Arsenal's credentials that they can win the Premier League, that they go to an informed Chelsea that are full of confidence, who, by the way, have had the same week as Arsenal because they played Barcelona.
Yeah.
So the idea that, Arsenal turned Ben White into a right-back. He was a centre-back. So they're now reaping the consequences of that because he can't play in that position anymore because they've got a better right-back than when Ben White started. So the circumstances are that Arsenal lost their central defender. Chelsea lost the player. So that was equalised out. So put aside the narrative that Martin wants to spin that they've got players out. I think it's an indication of Arsenal's credentials to go into this game and get something out of it, because Chelsea are in very, very good nick. They're full of confidence, and I expected them to get something out of this game. I am not surprised it was a draw. However the draw manifested itself, I think it's a good draw for Arsenal. Of course, if they went there and beat Chelsea, of course, if they went there and won, everyone would be saying it's nailed on. But I actually think that it shows you that this Arsenal side, who I think are a better side than Chelsea at this moment in time. I think they're a more mature side, they're more seasoned, but Chelsea are nipping at their heels. And what we're seeing now, despite what we all envisaged the season would look like, it looks to me like that Chelsea are going to be the people that are going to perhaps push Arsenal. Liverpool are going to find themselves, they're going to recover, and all of this nonsense about Liverpool will find itself getting together. Man City are not the same team as they were. They're a beatable side. The psychological approach that teams have towards Man City is now gone. They're not beaten in the tunnel anymore, so Man City can be beaten. So it's Arsenal's title, and Chelsea, I think, will be the one that's pushing them. So I'm not surprised it ended in a draw, and I think the fact that Chelsea were highly motivated is A, a credit to Arsenal and their performances, but B, so they should be.
But were they too? You know, like we've sat here last year.
That's rich coming from.
We've sat here last year, and you said, "Oh, Arsenal, look, another player sent off. Ill discipline's going to cost them." But the narrative
that was last year.
Yeah, but the narrative's changed, isn't it now?
This season, don't they?
So look at Chelsea. They've had 4 games. They've lost a player. If they hadn't
Chelsea are where Arsenal were a year ago.
Yeah.
And by the way, Arsenal are 6 years into a project, and Maresco's 2 years into it.
Yeah. But,
and Chelsea's ownership are 3.5 years into it.
Let's look at what's happened in the last 2. You're referring to last season, so I'm taking you back to last season when everyone said Arsenal were ill-disciplined. The narrative's slightly different, isn't it? Chelsea, without that ill-discipline, would probably be 1 or 2 points behind Arsenal right now.
Maybe. Maybe.
So
but I wasn't making that comparison.
On the inside, I'm pretty certain today someone's saying, do you know what, that's amazing what we did yesterday.
I wasn't
really aggressive, but we've gone over the top a little bit.
I wasn't making that comparison. And what I was saying is that Arsenal, I think, are a project that's further ahead than Chelsea. My argument is that Chelsea were highly motivated, and fair play to them. Now, I'd rather have them highly motivated than the manager having to rein them in rather than pushing them forward, which is to some extent what was happening last season.
That was their title edition yesterday, though. Did Chelsea come up short?
Well, I don't think they were auditioning for the title. I think they're auditioning for being a very competitive side that are knocking on winning a Premier League much sooner than most people anticipate, because 18 months ago everybody
why were they not going for the title yesterday?
Because they're not good enough. They're going for it. They're not good enough, in my view, to overcome Arsenal. Arsenal right now are the best team in the Premier League, and there is a debate to say they're pushing to be the best team in Europe.
But are they now the challengers? That's what you're telling me this Monday morning.
Well, that's what I think.
They are the challengers to Arsenal.
Yeah,
Chelsea.
and I think that's Maresca last year. He told us they weren't in the title race, and it pretty well blew up. Do you remember him saying that on Boxing Day?
And then he spent the end of the season telling everyone how the media had talked it down.
Exactly that. He swapped places. But I think now that they're ready to win something. I mean, look, they're the World Club champions.
Of course.
You know, so this is a good group, whatever
Todd Bowley told me after they won that thing that it's not a morning that everybody doesn't waking up at Chelsea and think, today's the day we're going to win something significant. This was Maresca on Chelsea's title challenge.
Once again, sometimes I think I'm a little bit bored, but bored in terms of boring, you know. I have to say again the same. If in February, March we are where we are now, we're going to be for title. But we are still, you know, end of November, December. Now we are Leeds away Wednesday. It's a very difficult game, so you need to, you know, to be there every time. But for sure, you know, Arsenal tonight, Barcelona the other day, Liverpool, PSG.
He's not been drawn into it yet, Simon. Yeah, maybe February, March we'll talk about the title, but not yet.
But that's right. But internally, he will be. I mean, he will talk about the mechanisms that are being deployed. He says that keep on playing in these big games, keep on getting these results against big opposition. The team will start to build. He can talk. Him next door to me, he can talk more about the idea of what belief looks like. I look at from the outside in, and having worked with players as an owner, think that they should have the belief system. But there's a difference between thinking you can do something and really believing and knowing you can do it. And I think Arsenal now are in the camp of knowing they can do something, and Chelsea are moving towards that. And I think that's a different psychological approach. It's that extra 2 or 3% in a game that either gives you the know-how, the determination, or the resilience to overcome something, but it might be challenging in a fixture.
Yeah. When you look at it, Martin, and you look at it in the cold light of day, is it a good point for Arsenal, or is it a slight
just to go back to Maresca, let's go back to Maresca just for a minute. I think he's managing the expectations better this season. Last year, to say no, we're not prospective champions, that pretty well cost them any chance or any opportunity, and you see where it derailed them. This year, they're much more collective. No Palmer, who sits on the bench. By the way, when he gets fit again, he's going to be winning games for them. But up to now, they've coped really well without him. I think from an Arsenal point of view, to keep that 6 points between them and Chelsea was quite key. And it was important that they didn't lose the game. So no ground has been lost, Jim.
Yeah.
Had they lost the game, we're down to 3 points. And then the narrative is, Arsenal have started to bottle it again. Okay. I didn't see anyone bottling it yesterday.
Let's put it out there this morning. Arsenal fans.
It was 2 years ago, you old victims complex. No one's saying it now. They said it 2 years ago. Get over it.
Just closing it off before you start.
Is it a good point for Arsenal, or was it a slight missed opportunity? You might want to give me a call on that. And Chelsea, if that was your title edition yesterday at Stamford Bridge against Arsenal, did you feel it? Let us know. 03717 223344 81089 Monday morning, and we're live on talkSPORT. Good morning, everybody. It is Monday morning after quite a weekend, not just in the world of football, in the world of boxing as well. Simon, Jamie TKV did it against Fraser Clark.
TKV, that's stand for the kebab van. I'm just being mean. Well done, Jamie.
It was a bit of a slugfest. You better watch what you say, because Jamie TKV is on his way to the studio, and he'll be joining us in a bit. I was down in the London Bridge area. I don't live far from here, and suddenly realised, football rivalry is alive and well in the Championship. Quite a number of Southampton fans in and around this area down at London Bridge, heading, to the Den to face Millwall. It was quite an atmosphere in this part of London Saturday lunchtime, and Millwall won it by 3-2. Nobody won it at Stamford Bridge. It was 1-1 between Chelsea and Arsenal. But when you think of it, 10-man Chelsea for so long, is it a good point for Arsenal, or is it a slightly missed opportunity? And Chelsea fans, if this was some kind of an addition for the Premier League title, did you feel it? You can give us a call, and many of you are doing that. 03717 223344. Jason, big Chelsea fan. Did you feel that addition yesterday?
No, I don't think so at all. 60 minutes against a team that's arguably the best in Europe at the moment, and we've come out with a draw and went in front. Yes, Martin alluded to the fact that their two best centre-backs were missing, but just wanted to say that he said that Calafori had to come off. Why did he have to come off?
He was on a booking, wasn't he?
Well, so was Cucurella. He played the whole game.
You might say he was lucky.
Good point, Jason.
You might say he was lucky to stay on the pitch, no?
Well, yeah, we could do, but he didn't get sent off though.
To turn it to football, I thought Saka gave Cucurella the runaround. To be fair,
see with what Jason's on about.
No, because I actually
carry on, Jason.
Can we talk about football as well?
Well, we are.
Yeah, but you said that in your words, Supermendy had to be sacrificed.
Yes.
But you had 11 men, Martin, so I don't know why you had to make the sacrifice.
Because the momentum of the game, you scored just into the second half. The sending off was just at the end of the first half. They had to change, find a solution, didn't they? So they made changes to change it up, and they scored within 2 minutes after they made those changes. The point I was making was that made them a little bit unbalanced. Every player that came on has just come back from injury. Fair comment? Gyökeres, Ødegaard, they didn't quite find their rhythm. And credit to Chelsea. I thought Chelsea was snarling. I thought they got it wrong, though, in terms of he was overly motivated. And if you were 11 men, then you might well have gone on to win the game. We'll never know. But you let yourself down. It's a discipline problem at the moment for the manager. He can sit there and he can talk about his team, and yes, rightly so. He knows they're in the title race. But ultimately, they've had players sent off 4 times this season. It's not ideal. But I think because they got used to that, they had a system that they could go with this time.
What would your response be to that, Jason?
Well, you're saying about overhyped. Yes, he's gone for the tackle. Yeah, it was a red card. I'm not denying that at all. However, other than Caicedo, we had 1 player booked. You had 6. So is that overhyped from the Arsenal players?
I think the referee was trying to... The way that it fell, the first free kick of the game was Cucurella. And on Saka.
No, my question is, Chelsea were overhyped.
Supermendy gets booked because the referee's laying down a marker to try and create control of this game.
Oh, so it's the referee's fault then?
I thought the aggressors were Chelsea, and I like that approach. You know, that's a game that I think you need to play if you're playing Arsenal. You saw that with Sunderland, no?
But you're saying that we were the aggressors, but you had 6 booked. We had
Arsenal didn't have anyone sent off, did they, Jason?
That's very true. And I said to you that it was a sending off. But what I'm saying is you keep on bringing up this word aggressor and overhyped. However, on the scheme of things,
the evidence will tell you that this season they've had 4 players taken off. Sent off. Why? Why?
So we was overhyped. Was we overhyped in those games as well?
Well, by Manchester United, 30 seconds and 5 minutes in, what happened?
The one against Man United is the goalkeeper coming out for a ball that he wasn't going to get. That's not overhyped. That's misjudgment.
Well, he still got sent off, didn't he? There's a full 90 minutes to go. No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. And my view is that Arsenal, if you're supposed to be the ones that are the team to beat, which you are because you're top of the league, it's points lost for Arsenal rather than gains.
Well, you didn't gain any points on Arsenal, did you? Yeah. Have you closed the gap, Jace? Will you ever get... No, you're missing the point. You had a great opportunity yesterday. 3 of the Arsenal back 4 didn't finish the game.
One of those is down to Arteta. He didn't have to take Calafori off. So he
felt he did, actually. He felt he did. He's trying to learn and manage his way through. He felt he's a player that's maybe is in trouble in these situations. So I'd better take him off.
But you can't use that. He was available. Put it that way. He was available.
This is good
so when
stuff.
you're saying we had 3 of them missing,
Yeah, we did.
2 of them, yeah, 2
From
of
the
them,
start,
yes.
by the way.
Who was the other one?
So the
that was
2
missing?
centre halves,
Yeah,
Saliba
and
and
who was the
Gabriel,
other
the
one?
best in Europe. You've forgotten their names.
No. I'm asking who you're saying the third one who wasn't available. Who's
So
that?
we finished the game with Timber on the pitch from Arsenal's regular back 4. That's what I'm saying to you.
is,
You won't
who
get a better
wasn't
opportunity to
available?
beat Arsenal.
Never mind Jim White and Simon Jordan. This is Martin Keown and Jason, the Chelsea fan, live in
You're
talkSPORT.
saying-
Go on, Jace,
you're
finish it
saying
off. Finish
he
him
keeps
off.
on going on. Yeah, he keeps on saying we had 1 left. That was the choice that Arteta made. Yes, the 2 centre halves, and I clearly know who Gabriel is and Saliba.
Well done.
And you're correct, the best centre halves in arguably in Europe at the moment. Calaflori got got taken off by Arteta due to the booking.
Jason,
And that was your original point.
I actually
when it comes down to it, Martin, 10 against 11, who is the emphasis more on to win it?
Of course, that's always the situation. But what did we see at Old Trafford last week? We saw Everton go down to 10 men and somehow manage to win the game. Sometimes players... Look, Arsenal in 2002 won the league with 12 times we went down to 10 men. It becomes like a rhythm. You fall into it. And I think that Chelsea have actually profited from the 4 games that they've been off to go into this one. The manager knew, OK, I know what the tactics are. I've got it all wrong at Old Trafford. I'll just grab 2 banks of 4 and just make sure that it can't get through us. And then they score at the ideal time. And it's a tricky place to go.
Let's hear from Raheem, who's an Arsenal fan. Raheem, good morning to you. How do you want to look at this morning? Is it a good point for Arsenal, Raheem, or a missed opportunity?
Good morning, gents. I just want to say it's a good point for Arsenal, in my opinion, because I think we was there for the taking. Chelsea came, and they didn't look like they come to play football. They looked like they was trying to assert their dominance over us. The way they was tackling, the way they was diving in for challenges, they just looked like they was trying too much, and it showed when they got the red card. But if I'm being honest, the defence positions, Calafiori and Lewis Skelly, they're a bit shaky in my eyes. They always do these things where they're a bit rash. Calafiori constantly finds himself out of position. Then Lewis Skelly comes on, he gets a booking in the first 10 minutes of coming on. He starts looking a bit shaky at the beginning. But I do want to praise Christian Mosquera, 21-year-old coming from Valencia, £13 million. He looks an absolute beast. And if I'm being honest, he looks like he could work out to be a better signing than Gabriel or Saliba, the way he's performing at these high levels, at these grounds.
Raheem, listen, thank you for the call. Chelsea didn't come to play football. Keith, the Arsenal fan, do you agree with that?
Well, I would agree with that, yeah. I think they started off with their bully boy tactics. I mean, that challenge from Caicedo was outrageous. And, you know, that highlighted their tactics for me. Having said that, if you'd have said to me as an Arsenal fan at the beginning of the game, would I take a point? I would have said yes. Once Caicedo got taken off, I was just thinking we have to take 3 points. We have to use this as an opportunity.
Yeah.
I agree with Simon to a certain degree, though, insofar as we had our 2 centre-halves out. So it kind of cancelled itself out with our 2 best players, if you like, you know, not on the pitch, and then them having Caicedo taken off. But no, I think, look, if you're facing 10 men for, 52 minutes of the game, you've got to expect to win. And I think that's 2 points dropped. And I think Chelsea will be happy with the point after having a man sent off, because 10 against 11, not only 10 against 11, 10 against arguably the best side in the country. So I think they will be happy at that point. But one thing I just have to pull Simon up on. Simon's been saying for a long time, it's time for Arsenal to win the league. They supported Arteta, which they have with money. Chelsea spent £1.5 billion in the last 2 years. If anybody should be expected to win the league, it is them.
Wow. Okay, Keith. What would you say to that, Mr. Jordan?
I don't think I've been the one person that's been saying Chelsea will win the league in the next 2 or 3 years and been laughed out of the door by all the so-called experts. So I do expect Chelsea to be winning tournaments. But I just look at the reality of what I'm looking at on the field and saying Arsenal's project is a year probably ahead of Chelsea's, which is understandable given their manager's been in situ for 3 years longer than the current manager. And we all know that the change of ownership at Chelsea didn't provide stability. We all know that the change of ownership made what all owners do, which is make mistakes when you first come in, making managerial appointments that aren't fit for purpose.
Yeah.
In a year's 18 months' time, Maresca will probably be in the same nick that Arteta is, and that's my point.
Okay, as we look at it this morning, Arsenal top of the shop on 30 points, 5 ahead of Manchester City and 6 ahead of Chelsea. And remember, it's a busy old week with Premier League fixtures throughout the week. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keown, live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
Chelsea have shown they can lift themselves against anybody, according to talkSPORT's Scott Minto, but he thinks the Premier League title is still beyond them.
It's the inconsistency of the lack of senior pros that will see the Brighton result, that will see the Sunderland result, the Carabao away. And I just don't think they've quite got the consistency that Arsenal have.
Arsenal are still 5 points clear at the top. Gabby Agbonderhall calls it a decent result.
You got a point against probably your biggest rivals this season away from home. They've got to come to you now at the Emirates, where you'd back Arsenal. So it's not a bad point for Arsenal.
Reece James called it a statement result for Chelsea, while Enzo Maresca has no complaints about Caicedo's first half red card. Former West Ham manager Alan Pardew, meanwhile, says Lucas Paqueta has to put his frustrations to one side after his red card for dissent. Paqueta has appeared to blame his behaviour on a lack of support from the FA after being cleared of spot fixing.
You have to put that to one side and say, well, okay, the frustration can come out, but you have to utilise it in a better manner than that.
Now we're told the spate of keepers going down injured needs eradicating from the game. Donnarumma being treated allowed Pep Guardiola to give his City players more instructions in their win at Leeds. Former Premier League ref Chris Foy says IFAB are looking into this.
We do see tweaks in the laws of the game. You know, we've got a World Cup year coming up. There's always things on the agenda, so I would imagine this will certainly be one of them.
Police are worried more footballers' homes will be raided over Christmas. The Sun's reporting crime group The Gucci Gang is targeting properties in Cheshire and Merseyside for luxury goods. And former Gaelic footballer Charlie Smythe has kicked his first NFL field goal, but it was in vain as New Orleans Saints slipped to their 10th defeat at home to the Miami Dolphins. There's more, as ever, on talkSPORT.com.
It is Monday morning. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown. We are live on talkSPORT, live on your telly as well, even on Prime Video. We are live wherever you want to watch us, listen to us. You can get us live between 10 and 1 weekdays here at talkSPORT. Daniel Farke, interesting from him post-match. Leeds United, of course, up against Manchester City, lost the game by 3-2. Farke has called for a new law change in football to stop goalkeepers feigning injury, to allow managers to hold brief tactics talks on the touchline. We're going to get into that later on this morning. We'll get into this now. Crystal Palace at home to Manchester United. And Crystal Palace, remember, had gone 12 games unbeaten at home in the league before this. I saw them against Brighton. No goals scored on that particular day at Selhurst Park. But then, after this game, he picked his moment, didn't he? Oliver Glasner came out and said, all right, we've lost to Manchester United here at home. And do you know what? It's time to turn my attention back to the summer. And what I see as a perceived lack of spending by the Palace board. This was Glasner, and he didn't miss.
Clear our fault. Yeah, we missed to strengthen the depth of the squad in summer. And we knew the schedule. We knew that Ismaila would go to the AFCON. Nothing happened surprisingly. But again, I just think personally, and that's why it's when you play the first time in your history European football. So let's invest instead of save. And we saved, and that's what we're facing. But these players, this group of players, giving everything. So no blame for the players because they gave. They are leaving their heart on the pitch.
So do you feel that the club's hierarchy have let you and the team down by not strengthening the squad in the summer?
We all would have wished a little bit more backing, yes.
That was a yes, really. He kind of fudged it at the end, but that was a yes. Are his complaints legitimate, Simon?
Yes, they are. Both sides of the equation are moderately legitimate. The big argument is what do Crystal Palace need to do as a football club? They need to stay in the Premier League. Let's be honest. Let's be really honest about it. What is the cost implications of the next step to kick Palace on from FA Cup winners to people that can compete at the top end of the table? Probably tens and tens and tens and tens of millions to keep up with that perspective. It's not Palace's way of operating. Why it isn't, I don't know. Ask Parish that. They've got the headroom to do it because they've got the PSR room to do it. If you look at their last three sets of accounts that don't include the year 25, which I imagine would be even better, they've probably got 20, 30, even 40 or 50 million worth of headroom against PSR. They've got cash because they've got very, very wealthy owners. The argument will be from Palace's ownership, well, we don't put anything at risk. Parish has made himself very wealthy out of Crystal Palace, and fair play to him, irrespective of my rancour. But if you want to keep Oliver Glasner, then you're not going to keep him. And you're not going to keep him by spending less than you receive in 2 seasons.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Is this not slightly hypocritical, Simon? Because any other club and any other manager, you would be saying to me and Martin this morning and the listeners in talkSPORT, oh, pack it in. Pack it in.
No, that's not fair. Because I have been consistently saying this for the last 8, 9, 10 months. You have managed to, through brilliant recruitments at Crystal Palace, find a manager that has surprised most people with the level that he's been at Crystal Palace.
Now, why does he get the special treatment from you?
Because he's bloody good.
Do you know why?
And here's the flip side of the argument. If you don't want to keep this guy, given the fact he's got a 3-year contract, there was an argument, and I advanced it because I'm privy to the understanding of it, that he wanted to be backed after his first season, and he wasn't backed. He wasn't given the kind of support that he thought he was going to give. Olise was sold, other players were sold, Joachim Andersen was sold, and he got on with it. I think he was a bit petted lip about it, but I've only been here for 5 months. I've done a good job for 5 months. I'll shut my trap. The following season, he did very well. He won an FA Cup. Palace did very well in the league. He expected to be backed. And he wasn't. And by the way, I have no problem with people being expecting to be backed if they're worth it. And if you want to keep Oliver, if you're happy to lose Oliver Glasner, I'm with Steve Parish. Then support the club because the club is bigger than Glasner, and the club is bigger than individual achievements. But the fact is that you will not keep Glasner unless you go and support him. And there's also a risk that if you support Glasner, the signings don't work out, and he still leaves.
I know, but this isn't what you trot out when you speak about other clubs and other managers. You would say, "Oh, hang on, stay in your lane."
You're doing it now. Let's keep this in the Palace lane here, right? Let's look at this. This football club is currently, this Palace generation is the most successful group of players that Palace have ever had, ever in their history. They're holders of the FA Cup, holders of the Community Shield. Through no fault of his own, And you can say that was a major cock-up as well. He's not playing the Europa League this season.
Yeah.
Playing in the Conference League.
I agree.
Right? So this manager, he looks at it in the summer and he thinks, hold on a minute, who's running my football club? We've nearly lost our best player. He's having transfer talks on the last day of the transfer, Gay, and he says, no, if he goes, I go. I'm pretty certain that's what he said. Right, he comes back. He's in the room at Liverpool. He's doing his medical. He comes all the way back. Now, again, he's showing himself now to the board. Come on, guys. I told you, right, we're losing these games. They're playing against a Manchester United team who just play one game a week. And they've got the smallest squad, Jim, in the Premier League. They've used 22 players. They've not got a big enough resource.
Interestingly, Martin is right and wrong in equal measure. There was a Crystal Palace team in 1991 that lost the FA Cup final to Man United. They should have won. That finished third in the league and should have qualified for Europe, but only didn't because of the ban. There is a school of thought that says Palace have been quite successful in the past. They were a team of the 80s that came up and imploded, and the opportunity was there when Venables was the manager. So there were plenty of opportunities to be successful, given the size and scale of the club. The fact is that you've got a circumstance where you're resourcing the players that you've got and you're maximising the returns from these players, which, by the way, shouldn't be a bonus. It should be what you do. Players doing their optimum levels and producing their very best versions of themselves is what we should have in football when we reward it.
Yeah.
The argument my point about Glasner is this guy is sought after. It's evidential that people are going to want him. Now, if you want to keep him, you've got to find a halfway house behind what he wants and what you can do as a football club. So you've got to push the envelope. And if you don't push the envelope, and I've said this consistently, so it's not about Glasner, it's not about Palace, it's not about serving up agendas, it's not about contradicting myself in other spaces. I would say the same thing in any environment, which is if you've got a top drawer manager in there, you've got to push it hard. And if you've got the bandwidth to do it and you've got wealthy owners to do it, then why wouldn't you do it? If you're up against PSR and you can't do it, shut up, Glasner. We can't do it. But they can do it. So why aren't they doing it?
And you approve of the way he did it? I mean, that's what I'm driving at. Post-match, he takes his opportunity and he thoroughly parks his tanks on the lawn of the boardroom. You normally hate that.
But here's the thing. Is what he's saying untrue? Is it misrepresentative? Would I prefer that he says it to the owners privately? Yes, of course I would.
Yes.
Right, of course I would. Right. I don't argue
That's
that.
a point.
If you're still the owner, Simon, how are you reacting this morning?
But here's the thing.
You'd hate that.
If I was in a situation with Glasner, I would take a view, which is I've got the best manager that I can possibly have. I've got an FA Cup. I've got PSR headroom. I need to find a way to give him half of what he's got, and I get something in return, which is you sign another contract with me.
But are you already planning?
And in the meantime, would you say, keep your trap shut and don't do it through the media. Do it to me. Speak to me.
But I wouldn't be in that conversation because if I had sold players, if I had PSR headroom and I had the liquidity to be able to do certain things, I'd be working with a manager, making him accountable for it. It's easy for you to say, son, about what I should and shouldn't do. Which players did you want? How much recruiting did you do? How much were you at the fore of finding players? And if that argument hadn't been dealt with properly by him, I'd be making him accountable. But they shouldn't really be having that conversation. And Palace fans will be looking at this going, we are doing the same thing that we've done previously, which is snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. We have a team of the 80s. We have a team in 1991 that could have qualified for Europe. And we keep on imploding. And we now have a manager that's won us the FA Cup. Now, the school of thought behind Palace will be, we stay in the Premier League. And what I don't understand is Parish hasn't got any money. Parish's money's from Palace. But Blitzer and Harris have got money. And they own multi-club ownerships. Ironically, after John Textor's problems there, they are part of a multi-club ownership themselves. So why don't Palace kick on? And there must be a reason.
Well, how should the fans feel this morning? So these fans want to build, don't they, on their successes? They want Glasner there. This is the most successful period, but we don't want that to disappear. We want to build upon it, and they're not really being allowed to.
So ask the question: how do you feel ultimately you're fortunate with Bournemouth, that Bournemouth have got a manager that's currently staying in situ. He'll be off soon, but the fact is that Bournemouth have sold all their players and they've still managed to resource it. And we're not hearing from Bournemouth's fan base or from Bournemouth's media or from Bournemouth's manager about how they've sold all their bloody players.
Yeah, but if Palace and Glasner underachieve this season from this point onward, Simon, you've just given them a pass.
No, I haven't given them a pass. I've explained both sides of the argument.
They've got a ready-made excuse.
No, well, I don't think they've got a
invest. They didn't invest. I told them to, but they didn't invest.
They've got a ready-made excuse if they don't want to keep Glasner. If Glasner's, no one can complain.
So do you think they're planning for that? You think they already know?
I think Glasner's leaving.
Off.
But he hasn't signed a contract. He's got 4 months to go, 6 months to go in his contract, 7 months to go in his contract.
It's obvious.
It's obvious he's leaving, and it's obvious that he's not going to stay, and you've done nothing to help the situation, and maybe you can't. But the reality of it is, if you won an FA Cup, if your PSR situation is not steeped in any kind of breaches, and you've just sold £65 million of Eze, the least you can do in this instance, is match your expenditure.
There's £16 million in profit.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The very least you could have done is match your expenditure with your outgoings.
Nobody better with you in situ this morning, Simon. Palace fans, what do you think of what you're hearing from Simon? I'm somewhat surprised that Simon is saying, no, Oliver Glasner, he's right to have said what he said post-match. And he did it through the media. He had a swipe at the board. Is that the right way? And what are your true feelings? Do you back Glasner when he comes out and says, well, the board, they didn't back us in the summer, and now it's coming home to roost, and they should have done, but they didn't do? Give us a call on that, 03717 223344. I met plenty of you the other day when I was at the game against Brighton. Give us a call this morning, 03717 223344. Actually, just a quick mention at this stage. Remember, if you miss any of our shows, make sure you download the Outspoken podcast with all the best bits from White and Jordan, that's us, every day, in a bite-sized listen. I like that. The messages are coming in thick and fast from Palace fans. 81089. Oliver Glasner had a swipe at this lack of spending in the summer. They didn't spend when they should have spent. This off the back of losing at home to Manchester United. And Glasner hasn't been backward and coming forward. Had a swipe at the board. Simon backs Glasner, saying he's proven to be one of the best in the business.
To a point.
Andy Coleman, Palace fan, I 100% back Oliver Glasner. We thank Parish for what he's done for the football club, but he has held back our potential for years. I've heard he's looking to leave the club, and in my mind, the sooner Poundland Parish leaves, the better. Thanks for the past, but let's look to the future, and look to the future with Oliver Glasner. The calls are coming in thick and fast. Barry, big Palace fan. Good morning, Barry. What do you think of what Glasner said post-match?
I think he's absolutely spot on, Jim. All the Palace fans knew this at the beginning of the season, that we needed to strengthen. Well, we haven't. We've lost, world-class players, but we haven't replaced them with anyone at all, really.
Yeah.
Just a few sort of players out of the youth team and players that are on the fringe that are coming in on the games now. So.
Barry, do you expect Glasner to be there going into next season?
I really hope so, because the man's a genius. I think what he's achieved at the club in a very short time is absolutely outstanding. And I think the owners should be sort of basically sitting down with him and telling him, what do you need? We'll get you whatever you need.
Your former owner's sitting right beside me. What do you want to say to Simon, Barry?
Well, everything he said really is spot on. I mean, if we've got the money, why don't we spend it?
Well, that has to be the question, Barry, doesn't it? I mean, you have to remember, and as difficult as it is for me to say, you also have to be incredibly grateful for the time that Parish has been there. Yes, he's enriched himself and made a lot of more money out of this than he's ever made in anything in his life, but Palace have had their best 15 years, whether 10 years under me, whether 25 years under Ron, whether it was Ray Bloy before that, whoever else. This is the best Palace that we've ever seen, establishing the Premier League for 12 years, winning an FA Cup. The challenge is, what's the next step, Barry? The next step is to try and go toe-to-toe with some of the guys above you, and that means putting the club at some sort of jeopardy. You should not be taking your eye around Parish. If you believe that Parish is the intellectual capital behind some of the success, and by the way, the appointment of Oliver Glasner, because it was his idea to do that, I suspect, and you have to give him credit for that. Why aren't Harris and Blitzer putting their money in then? Because those guys have got more money than Parish.
Exactly that. Yeah, everyone at the club, all the supporters are saying exactly the same thing. I mean, I don't personally, not Parish. I think he hasn't done that bad a job.
Done a brilliant job.
Overall.
He's done a brilliant job.
Look at the club, what he's done with the training ground and everything, the whole club and the youth setup and all that is really good. But we need to invest in like real first team players, if you know what I mean, like established decent players to come in and bolster the squad, because all these games.
But the other side of the argument, Barry, and I hate to be devil's advocate in this conversation, because I'd like to jump all over Parish if I could, but you're 13th, they're ninth in the league, mate. They're ninth in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the game yesterday and we played brilliant in the first half. We should have scored 2 or 3, but the second half they come out and played well, and you could see our players were tired.
Yeah.
Literally. You could see it.
Well, they will be, won't they? Because United haven't got a European form. So United finished 17th last year. They can afford to be a little bit more forward thinking, because A, they spend hundreds of millions of pounds on football, and B, they're Man United, and C, they've got one game a week.
Barry, listen, thanks for the call. I think Glasner mirrors the frustration of the fans, Simon, because let's face it, Crystal Palace should be playing in the Europa League, and they're not.
But let's also face them some harsh realities. Is anybody under the impression that Glasner's going to spend his entire career at Crystal Palace?
Not his entire career,
right.
But
so
they would wish him to stay longer than the end of the season.
And that's wonderful, and I understand that, right? But the reality of it is that at some point, when it doesn't suit somebody, Glasner's going to leave. So how far do you go with a manager? Because everyone's going to go, because no one has an original idea anywhere. And everyone goes, oh, I like that fellow over there. Nobody, Eze, Arsenal didn't want him when he was a kid. Or they come back and get him when Palace to prove the point with him, because when they signed him from QPR, Arsenal come along and go, oh, we'll have him now.
Yeah, but to feed his ambition, Glasner, in the summer, if someone had said to him, right, OK, there's 100 million to spend, yeah, and there's a 3-year contract, sign it, and we'll give you the... But was that offered up?
But here's the thing.
It doesn't look like
now,
it.
Now, who knows? Because none of us are privy to that conversation. If that's exactly what I'd say, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you a quid pro quo. I will back you to a reasonable level. I'll push it beyond any envelope we've ever done at this football club before. I'll give you 100 million in this transfer window, but I expect to sign a 3-year contract. I'm willing to wager you that the manager still would have said no.
Well, we'll never know now because it doesn't look as if that was forthcoming.
But this wasn't. I don't know if anyone's surprised. I mean, the fact is the only reason people haven't been able to ask him this question is because Palace kept on winning. Now the first opportunity to ask Glasner the question they've been waiting to ask him since the summer because they know that he's boiling, they know that he's simmering, they know that he's got the needle, and Gehi was the final straw that broke the camel's back before he said something. So the first opportunity for Palace have had to lose a game and be put under the cosh.
And they've been in front. They've been in front in the last 2 games.
Really?
And you have to say fatigue's playing a major part.
When I left Selhurst Park the other day, Simon, after seeing Crystal Palace Brighton, I had a brief word with Steve Parish, and I said we'd maybe, he probably remembers, maybe he doesn't, we'll maybe get together at some stage soon. I would ask him the question that I'm going to put to you now, but the question basically is, why didn't you? Why didn't you? With owners like Harrison Blitzer, why didn't you spend more, as Glasner wanted you to do last summer, and now Glasner's coming out and he's giving it, why didn't you?
Here may be an answer to the question. Again, I hate to give them a pass. They're trying to build a stand. The stand's going to cost 200. It's gone up from 100 million to 150 to 200 million.
Are they ever going to build
250.
this stand?
His club knows all about that because they compromised the well-being of their manager and the well-being of their team to build a new stadium.
At Arsenal.
Right.
Well, they paid 450 million, didn't they?
Yeah. But it's relative. Your club is bigger than Palace.
I get it. But
so why didn't
he's got to spend money on
all
the
these people want him to?
Because he may well be deploying the funds that they're accumulating for the evolution of the stadium, which means where's that money come from then? The banks or wherever else you think you can borrow money from?
Up the stadium, aren't they? But there's no.
The plan is, from what I gather, and it's been for some time now, and I know how difficult it is, and I know how unlikely it will be, is to spend it was 100 million to build where the old stand is, which was in the directors' boxes, where Parish will sit, where I sat, into a new all-consuming stadium, a stand that adds another 10,000 seats to the stadium, but also puts another 50 million pounds every 5 years into their pockets as a result of corporate hospitality. But they've got to fund it, so it might be that in the same way that Arsenal gave up their pursuit of excellence to build a new stadium.
Well, it's not. They're going to lose a very good manager over all of this, aren't they?
You didn't. Wenger played the game because Arsenal was a bigger club.
The upshot is Manchester United went to Crystal Palace and they won it, much to Glasner's disappointment. But what are Manchester United this season? Are they an enigma this season? Is this side consistently average or inconsistently brilliant? Never buy teeth from a catalogue. I'll say it again. Is this side consistently average or inconsistently brilliant? You tell me. 03717 22 33 44. It's 11 o'clock.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at just gone 11 a.m, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Arsenal invincible Martin Keown says injuries and playing 3 games in 8 days means that point at Stamford Bridge was a good one.
The back four at the end of the game, there was only one member of the regular back four still on the pitch. Calafiori had to go off because he'd had a booking. So all in all, I think Arsenal will be happy with it.
Arsenal will find out the extent of William Saliba's injury today. Johan Visser's closer to making his long-awaited Newcastle debut following a knee injury. Here's Eddie Howe.
He participated in an 11v11 sort of training game while we were at Everton. I think he'll have another one at some stage this week. And yeah, we'll see how close he is.
Newcastle versus Spurs is live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. Spurs will be happy to be back on the road. They've got just 5 points in 7 home games so far this season. Former Spurs striker Mido stuck the boot in, saying Tottenham don't have any players worth watching.
If I'm a Tottenham fan today and I want to go to the stadium and enjoy a certain player, who I'm going to go and watch? No one.
Now, it seems a law change is on the cards.
It does need eradicating from the game because it just doesn't feel right.
That's former Premier League ref Chris Foy on keepers going down injured, allowing managers to pass instructions to outfield players. Daniel Farke complained about Donnarumma's timeout as Man City beat Leeds.
As a referee, you're hamstrung, really. There's not a great deal you can do. You know, if a goalkeeper says, I'm injured, you can't just say, well, you're not seriously injured, let the game carry on.
Chris Foy says IFAB could close that loophole. Hampden Park is being renamed in a sponsorship deal. Scotland's national stadium will now be called Barclays Hampden. And Ascot Racecourse has announced record prize money of £19.4 million for next year. That's an increase of £1.65 million.
talkSPORT News.
The Prime Minister says last week's budget was a moment of personal pride, and agency workers sent in to clear the streets of Birmingham have gone on strike. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Visit quickfit.com for huge savings on tyres, servicing, batteries, wipers and more in our Black Friday event. And drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Wet and windy right across the UK. Possible flooding in South Wales and North West England. Cold in the northwest, milder elsewhere.
Good morning, everybody. Monday morning, Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown. Monday, December the 1st. Oh, yeah. Advent calendar time, isn't it? In actual fact, I bought you an advent calendar for little Ruben.
Yes, indeed.
At Crystal Palace the other day, and hopefully
he's demanding
his first little treat out of it this morning.
No, he's demanding it start be opening. So absolutely, he's on it all over it.
Absolutely brilliant. 1 or 2 messages coming in, Simon. Before I move on, I'm going to drop you right in it. Jim, you said you were at the Palace game against Brighton. I saw you there, says Ted. Ted, if I met you, great, and thanks for mentioning. Why doesn't Simon go to Palace games? We're all Palace fans. Why don't you?
Well, I'm going to go on Sunday for the first time since I left Palace. 15 years. Yeah, first time. It's a Rubicon I'm crossing, mentally and psychologically. I don't want to go in the stadium when Parish is there. I've got good reasons for it. Most people would have the same reasons if they're in my shoes. But I'm going to go to Fulham on Sunday and take my little boy to see his first ever football match and remind him of the fact that his dad used to own this club. So I'm going on Sunday to see Fulham. I'll see Palace at Fulham.
Excellent. How do you feel about that?
I'm looking forward to it. It's the first time I've seen them live in 15 years. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Excellent. So you should.
Indeed.
Something you should have done years ago.
Oh, mate, if you'd walked the walk I had, you probably wouldn't want to go anywhere near football, full stop.
So you are going to Fulham against Crystal Palace on Sunday, and you're taking Ruben. Palace fans, travelling supporters, you may see your former owner in your midst at Craven Cottage then this Sunday. I'm glad to hear that. That is good. I'm glad to hear that.
I'll get to Selhurst Park one day in the future as well.
Tottenham fans, what on earth is going on with you? Tottenham put in another poor home game at the weekend, a poor showing, I should say, losing 2-1 to Fulham. This is the stat that floors me. It remains 3 home wins in 21 games thus far. But there's more to this. Tottenham went 2-0 down inside the first 5 minutes with Vicario, the goalkeeper, at fault for the second goal, rushing out a goal, not clearing his lines and giving possession straight back to the opposition, who took full advantage. Well done them. Harry Wilson, it was a beauty. Spurs fans booed Vicario for his role in the whole shebang and then gave him ironic cheers when he next received the ball and booted it away. And Thomas Frank jumped on that, saying, hang on, you lot, that's not on.
I didn't like how the fans reacted on that. I think they booed at him straight after, and also 3 or 4 times when he was on the ball. I think for me that's unacceptable. It can't be true Tottenham fans. Booing after, fair, no problem. But when we need it together. And if we need to turn it around, we need to do it together. So that's hugely important for me.
Might that, Martin, come back to bite Thomas? The ones who booed Vicario, you can't be true Tottenham fans.
No, I think he's got to be true to himself. If he feels that it needs to be said during the game, if you're, this is becoming toxic now, playing at home for Spurs, and you're, the 12th, they used to call the fans, didn't they, the 12th man, and obviously they're working now for the opponent. It's making it very difficult. Okay, you can boo at the end of the game. It seems as if the players are getting hammered on the pitch, and it's almost like an us and them situation. That you have to be united to be successful. So that atmosphere, that the culture there now, it's got to change. But this is 3 home wins in 21 matches. This is like he's brought into us. It's an historical issue, and he's got to turn it round. The previous manager bemoaned the crowd on occasions, so there's nothing new there. They've got to start performing, Jim, on the pitch. And I think with Thomas Frank, I would like to see a little bit more identity of the man himself. So when they played against Arsenal, it was like they were like quite passive, and they set up a system to play a 5 to deal with Arsenal, and then they got battered. Now, if you look at the last 4 matches, they've only had 7 shots on target. So, okay, if you're working with him, you're saying, come on, what are we trying to do? How are we trying to progress the game? What we're building? What's the signature of Thomas Frank? Now, when you're at Brentford every week, you go from game to game, flip-flopping from a 4 to a 5 and finding results, slow play, all of these tactics. But now it's about identity, and he's going to have to work out. I'm pretty certain he's going to get there. I think he's hugely intelligent, and he's managing as well for a very difficult situation.
Martin, isn't there? There's a disconnect between the Spurs players and their supporters.
It is, because
and I don't think Thomas helps it.
No, but they've had years of it
like that. If you're a supporter and you've paid your money, and you look at your goalkeeper, who, let's face it, starred in an absolute pantomime moment.
You should put the ball in the stand. There's no doubt about it. He's overplayed. But I didn't see any.
They want to vent their feelings at that moment. What's wrong with that?
I didn't see a player on the pitch, though, react and maybe go into the goal to react. Maybe that's something I might have done to help him out. You're all in this together. There's too much of blaming individuals here. This blame culture has to change, but ultimately they've got to start playing some decent football.
This idea of blame culture. First of all, everybody's right in this conversation, because the fans have the right to do as they please, because they're the guys that are actually funding football clubs to some extent through television subscriptions and match fees. Do I think it's constructive to boo somebody? Do I think it helps the overall picture? No. But footballers also have to realise that people pay a lot of money to go and watch them play. And if you give them nothing to cheer about, what is it you expect them to do? Get a pat on the back when you're 2-0 down to a rather average Fulham side this season? Yeah. Are you expecting to be rewarded for that? Thomas Frank, has put out performances recently. And I'm in a Thomas Frank admirers club. I like him. I don't think the job's too big for him. I don't think that we should be hounding Thomas Frank out of a job. I think Thomas Frank should be given some opportunity. But that Spurs side, also the hand he's been dealt, Spurs are poor. They're not a good side. I looked at that side on the weekend. I looked at what they are. They're nothing right now. They're missing Maddison. They're missing Kulusevski, their best creative players, and Solanke seems to be forever injured. Yeah. So I get all that, right? But the fans themselves have seen an absolutely placid performance against their major rivals, Arsenal. They've gone 2-0 down against the Fulham side that are not in particularly good nick this season, albeit they've got a very good manager. They saw them in a previous week, albeit they beat Copenhagen 4-0. And then what we've got is this wonderful week where you got smashed 5-3 by PSG, and because you were in that game for a period of time, that somehow is an encouraging development for Thomas. Look, I mean, I remember him at Brentford. He is prone to saying some robust things. I remember him first coming into the Premier League and thinking a couple of times, he was in games where they got beat and he said, we should have smashed the opposition. And I thought, strange language for you to be using when you've just arrived in the Premier League, but there's no doubt he's a top manager. But this idea that you cannot... fans should support, yes, of course they should.
Of course, and wants to.
But here's the thing. You've also, the responsibility is on footballers to give them something to support.
Right.
It's not just a one-way transaction. It's not just this crappy idea of having a 12th man. But these guys, hang on, Martin, I'm finished. These guys spend a lot of money to come to football stadiums in a world that is miserable in its existence. This country's going down the toilet for various reasons. So when you go to a football match, you expect to be lifted out, not dragged into more bleeding misery. And the Spurs fans don't need that encouragement because half of them are a little bit like that anyway.
Well, you've got Thomas saying, be careful that you don't boo during the game. And then you get Pedro Porro, who seemed to lose his cool towards a Tottenham fan on Instagram after the game. He says, football is emotion. In football, as in life, there can always be mistakes. What I will not tolerate, says Pedro Porro, is hearing disrespect from the fan to my teammates, hence my frustration at the end of the game. So we will get up. We remind you 6 months ago, everything was so bad, and in the end, it's not how it begins, but how it ends. To the true Spurs fan, I love you.
But I mean, are you listening to this entitled tribe? I mean, the fact of the matter, it was bad 6 months ago, right? So you were part of that crap, and you're part of this crap too. It's not going much better either. So the fans have just got us pony up hundreds of pounds of money. Of course, I want the fans to be supportive. Of course, I think at times fans should pack it in. When I get West Ham fans coming on here, tell me the new owner should build them a stadium, it irritates me.
So you think the players should just put up with it? Just shut up?
I think.
Do their talking on the pitch?
Yes. Do I think? If the criticism is unfair, I think Vicario is a poor goalkeeper, and I think he's a bomb waiting to go off. And I think ultimately there's a challenge with that, and the fans probably recognise.
But ultimately, the manager's inherited that, hasn't he?
Yes,
and he hasn't said
that. Doesn't mean
publicly.
that's not the question. The question is, do the fans have a right to express their views?
Exactly.
To some extent, they do. So Thomas, give them something to cheer about, and then have a go at them.
But maybe the fans should stay at home, shouldn't they?
No, what do you want to mute them?
No,
What do you want to mute them?
because they're not helping. They're not helping the situation.
Oh,
now
no.
look.
We told them how important they
just
were
let me
during
tell you
COVID.
how it is from a footballer's point of view.
They're not helping.
There are times.
We know how it is.
I'm not going to name clubs, but there was one particular club I played at in my career where actually, in the end, you had to say, "Well, we're going to have to cock a deaf ear to these fans because they are certainly not helping."
Win.
Right?
Give them something to
it's
cheer
like,
about.
If you're worried about them, you're not going to survive. So forget the fans because they're not really on our side for now. Let's go and play our football.
But that's an excuse. You lot have got big enough mouths when it comes to what you as players have got big enough mouths to what you're entitled to. What you think you should have, you should get it.
That's the reality.
You get your bums white from dawn till dusk. You do 2 hours a day, and now you expect people to go, well, actually, we should look after them and cheer them all the time.
Look at the clubs that have got support. When you see Sunderland now play at home, they're magnificent. They've gone to a new level because of the fans.
And here's the thing. In a year's time, when the fans' expectation changes and the novelty's no longer there and they're no longer looking with starry eyes at the Premier League, the football fan in them will change and they'll go, I want better performance.
Yeah, but it's levels.
I want better football. I want better players.
It's levels, isn't it? Look, if you want to do this and take your team apart, just carry on. Become a laughing stock.
No,
the manager's trying to correct it. With Brian Clough said it. What about Brian Clough back in the day when he used to tell the fans, behave yourselves?
No, that was when they were running on you're using poor examples. The fact of the matter, he told the media off more than he told the fans. The idea that the fans should just sit there and be served up crap and be grateful for it is probably out of context with where football is right now. Fans are now in a viewpoint. We sat here and went, football without fans, look at COVID, it's dreadful. Get them back at the stadium. Yeah. Oh, no. Only the way we want you to be in there.
When you're ready to support us, come back and support us. For now, we're on our own. Because that's where it looks like.
Martin, there's Ross the Tottenham fan.
Not got any support at all.
Martin. Here's the thing, though. If you're a Tottenham fan this morning, and let's hear from you, actually, 03717 223344, and hear Thomas Frank, who I like him very much. Went over to Brentford, did a couple of interviews with him. He's a good guy, and I like Thomas. But what is he thinking about saying this? Don't boo during the game because that's not good for the player. Are you kidding?
But it's true.
You're not a true Tottenham fan if you boo during the game. Wait till after. No.
But ask Martin the question. Do the Spurs fans, right, put aside the idea of how far they should and shouldn't go, do they have a point?
Well, they're entitled
No,
to do whatever they want
not the
to.
entitlement. Do they have a point about the performance of the Tottenham Hotspur team?
Do they have a point?
Do they have a point?
No, because I think it's inexcusable to continually boo your player.
They're not continually doing it.
Because they're basically saying, take him off. And the manager's saying, no, I'm supporting this guy.
But Martin, what are Spurs fans meant to think this morning after that comedy of errors thanks to Vicario? They lose the game on Saturday night.
It's rock
They've
bottom.
spent their money going to it. Thomas says, don't boo during the game. And then Pedro Porro comes out with... Good morning, everybody. In football, as in life, there can always be mistakes. What I will not tolerate is hearing disrespect from the fan to my team. What he won't tolerate.
You want characters, you want personalities, you want people to speak up. And then you want to ridicule him when he comes out.
On the field.
Look, he's better. He's learning this morning that he's better off just doing his talking on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end of the day, the fans, it's toxic, isn't it? It's toxic, and Thomas Frank is going to try to look. I like to look. Let's have a look at the club. Let's have a look at the club he's just left, and look at how together that club is. Yeah.
The switchboard's in meltdown. Let's hear from the Tottenham fans. What do you really think
I
about
think he's
this
underestimated the
disconnect?
size of the club, and it's a major issue for him. But I think they should stick with the manager.
So what are you saying to the Tottenham fans who booed during the game?
I'd show some respect for the players, or don't turn up at all.
So you're saying, Pedro,
go and watch Arsenal down the road, a much better watch.
Show some respect, or don't turn up at all.
Exactly. How about the players putting in performances that are unacceptable? How about they show some respect for the fans?
I don't think he's making deliberate mistakes. I don't think these
the players' attitude in the game against Arsenal was totally unacceptable. They weren't at it in a game that meant so much.
That was how the manager set up.
If you're calling in at the moment, Tottenham fans, and you are true Spurs fans in the eyes of Pedro Porro, please know that he loves you. 03717 223344. Remember, if you missed the show, make sure you download the Outspoken podcast with all the best bits from White and Jordan every day in a bite-size listen. Martin Keown, Arsenal Invincible in our midst today, it being Monday. We're talking about Tottenham. We're talking about that comedy of errors involving the goalkeeper Vicario. Tottenham lost the game at home to Fulham at the weekend. It remains 3 home wins in 21 games thus far. But Thomas Frank said, hang on a second, don't boo during the game. Because he took issue with the fact that many Tottenham fans showed their ire, their unhappiness during the match. Save it to the end, says Thomas Frank. And Pedro Porro virtually echoed that, saying, there can always be mistakes. What I will not tolerate, says Pedro, is hearing disrespect from the fan to my teammates. Hence my frustration at the end of the game. To the true Spurs fan, I love you. But is there a striking disconnect developing between the Spurs players and their fans? Many Tottenham fans getting in touch, and Nick is one of them. Nick, you're at the top of the queue, and you're with us live. Good morning, mate. What do you want to say on this?
Yeah, good morning. Morning, everybody. Great show as always. Thanks, football, I agree with Simon 100%, and football is an emotive sport. When I go and watch Emma Raducanu play tennis, if she misses a shot on match point, she doesn't get booed. If you see a cricketer drop a catch, he doesn't get booed. I didn't boo Vicario. I was stunned. But I would say that the people who booed him probably thought the same as me. We spend £1,500 a year, my season ticket, getting there and back. And after 5 minutes, the game's gone. Fulham are a good side. You know you're unlikely to come back and get a point, much less likely win it. So they boo, and afterwards it was the odd little bit. It wasn't consistent. But they boo because they're thinking, what on earth have you done? You've just thrown us out of the game. We may as well turn around now and go home.
But Nick, Martin says that creates a toxic atmosphere. And if you're going to do that, you'd be as well staying at home.
It doesn't, because the next match, if Vicario plays next Saturday, he will get cheered. It's the fact that the frustration has been building up. 3 Premier League wins in 12 months, and that's not down to Thomas Frank. There's all sorts of other issues. Well, that works out £700 a game. So you're frustrated. A lot of the fans travel a distance. Yes, they don't have to, and they pay good money. One of the most expensive season tickets in the country. Now, if the players can't put up with a little bit of booing, then I'm sorry, they don't deserve to be professional football.
And Nick, you would say, if there's booing during the game, Nick, you would say these people are still true Spurs fans.
Well, of course they're true Spurs fans, but they're not constantly booing. It's the odd boo. It was a little bit after that ironic. But then after that, they were getting behind the team. But, these footballers, and Simon is quite right, really, they live in a parallel universe. Everything's done for them. They're on 6 figures. If I was getting what Pedro Porro was getting, people could come and boo me for 90 minutes. I'd gladly take it. So, a little bit. You've got to get real.
Sure. Nick, thanks for the call. Thank you very much indeed. Gavin's another Spurs fan. Gavin, what's your take on it? Do you echo what Nick said?
Hello. Yeah, well, first of all, I did what Martin Keown did. It cost me £200 a time to go up there. And when I took my nephew, nearly £350. And he come out and said, Uncle, I'd like to see Tottenham win. And I said, Zach, so would I. But first of all, can I say to Simon Jordan that I would vote for him and he needs to get into politics. But Martin Keown, and I'm not saying it's his ex-husband.
Oh, what a shame. We're just losing your line. We'll come back to you, Gavin. David, you're through to us. And you're through to us all the way from Australia. What do you want to say?
Yeah, morning, gents. I'm not really a true Tottenham fan. I've been known to boo and hiss and throw a metaphorical cabbage at the TV screen. It's interesting comments from Martin. I mean, at the tail end of the Don Howe era, at the end of the Wenger era, and certainly the first 2 years of the Arteta era, there's certainly a lot of people kind of booing in the stadium, but you'd have wanted them to go home as well. The fact of the matter is, to build the relationship between the fans and the team, I've got a suggestion. Win some games at home, play some entertaining football, show some leadership. Now, I supported Frank when he was appointed. I thought it was a pragmatic appointment, but he's inherited the Levy legacy of a squad where he's paid, 150 million for Richarlison, Johnson, Tell, Odegaard, the list goes on. Probably our best players at the moment that any other team would cover are our centre-backs. You could never say that about a Tottenham team ever. So the reality of the situation is this, is that Vicario, who's more than happy to take the plaudits and more than happy to berate the younger members of the squad when they make a mistake on the pitch, him and Porro at full time had a go at Bergvall for acknowledging the fans. And apparently it was decided about a month ago there's going to be some kind of Praetorian Guard at half-time, so all the players go walk down the tunnel at half-time. This is ridiculous. Wake up.
What would you say? Good call. What would you say to that, Martin, from David?
Well, I mean,
more than a few points.
The thing is, like, I'm just looking here, and people might say I want to stamp all over Spurs and enjoy it, but I'm looking at the manager and thinking, well, he's used probably the fewest number of players in the Premier League this season. He's got an army of injuries. There's still enough on the team on the pitch, by the way, and a Fulham team that hadn't really. Okay, they just won, I think, 3 of the last 4, but before that, they'd won 4 on the bounce. A Fulham team that lost their way a little bit, and then they go. I think it's just the fans have lost patience as a club. It's successively managers who haven't been able to get it right at home, and they're just. Maybe it's a human reaction. Maybe it's a human reaction, but. Guys, you're making it very easy for the away team every time they rock up, because it's like, if you can keep this lock.
But maybe Thomas Frank and Pedro Porro would have been better off serving up better fare and keeping it on the down low when they're not particularly winning anything.
Social media, I hate this social media, because obviously now he's put himself out there. But he wants to protect his goalkeeper.
No, I mean, and listen to what the caller just said. I mean, he pulled you up about Arsenal fans. They are getting together. And
I don't remember booing. They weren't booing. They weren't booing during the game.
Oh, they booed Granit Xhaka.
No, there was a march outside the boardroom.
They picked on Granit Xhaka during the game.
On Avenel Road.
They picked on Granit Xhaka during games.
I'm going to go to Harry. Finish your point, Simon.
But they're now saying, and this is what the caller just said, the Spurs players are getting together in solidarity in the middle of the field at half-time. I mean, who are you? I mean, really, who are you?
Yeah. Harry, Tottenham fan, you've been waiting patiently, mate. What do you want to say? Finish it off for me.
Yeah, listen, guys. I don't know what right they have to tell us we ain't true Tottenham fans. We pay the tickets, we go watch them, and when they put on appalling shows like that, we got every right to boo them. They can't tell us we can't boo them. We paid the ticket to go watch you, and you're putting on a show like the game was over before it even started. What do you want us to do? We're sitting there watching a flipping horror show.
And yet Martin says you should stay at home.
So, Harry, you're angry now, yeah? The players are angry, you're angry. So what do you do next? What do you do for the next home game? Do you give them another chance, or are you at their throats as soon as they come out onto the pitch?
Well, this is football. Football can change overnight, can change. And if they do put on a good show and you see the players playing with their hearts for the team, then, yeah, we will cheer them on. If we get a good show, like if we see what we're paying for, like at least put effort in. You don't have to. You're not going to win every game. Every team makes mistakes and concedes goals. We understand that, but at least play with all energy. We ain't got no energy. We ain't got no spark. We go to watch the football game.
You guys go to St James's Park next, and when you go there, you'll see what unity is, and you see what fans can do to you when they're behind you. And they would have booed in the past, and haven't they? Had issues, but right now, once you get that
Newcastle
fan base
relegated a few years ago. Oh, that was the owner's fault, of course. Yeah, nothing to do with the players.
Yeah, well, they can't have a go at Daniel Levy now either. It's interesting that he's.
So, are you telling Harry and the Tottenham fans that they should take a leaf out of the Newcastle supporters?
Maybe they should. Maybe they all come together.
There's a really unified support in the Tottenham aren't.
The manager's got it out there. There's honest talking.
Harry, before you leave
let's
us,
see what happens.
Are you a true Spurs fan? Harry, are you still with us?
Hello?
You're still with us, Harry?
Yeah.
Are you a true Spurs fan?
Of course I'm a true Spurs fan.
Well, Pedro Porro loves you, mate.
Yeah, but he loves us, but I was there booing as well, because that was appalling.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me I'm not a true Tottenham fan.
Harry, were you booing during the game? This is what the managers. He said, look, you can boo away afterwards, but were you booing during the game?
Yeah, I was booing during the game.
You think that helps?
It's football.
Of course it is, Harry. Of course it.
You got to deal with it.
Harry, thank you very much. I mean, Martin, what do you expect them to do?
Give the season ticket to
somebody else. It's during the game, isn't it? I better watch what I'm doing here.
If you're not going to get behind the team, pass the season ticket to someone else.
Good grief. It's coming up to 11:30. Newcastle Tottenham tomorrow, and it's a talkSPORT exclusive. We'll see who's booing then.
Chelsea have shown they can lift themselves against anybody, according to talkSPORT's Scott Minto, but he thinks the Premier League title is still beyond them.
It's the inconsistency of the lack of senior pros that will see the Brighton result, that will see the Sunderland result, the Carabao away. And I just don't think they've quite got the consistency that Arsenal have.
Arsenal are still 5 points clear at the top. Gabby Agbonderhall calls it a decent result.
You got a point against probably your biggest rivals this season away from home. They've got to come to you now at the Emirates, where you'd back Arsenal. So it's not a bad point for Arsenal.
Reece James called it a statement result for Chelsea, while Enzo Maresca has no complaints about Caicedo's first half red card. Former West Ham manager Alan Pardew, meanwhile, says Lucas Paqueta has to put his frustrations to one side after his red card for dissent. Paqueta has appeared to blame his behaviour on a lack of support from the FA after being cleared of spot fixing.
You have to put that to one side and say, well, okay, the frustration can come out, but you have to utilise it in a better manner than that.
Now we're told the spate of keepers going down injured needs eradicating from the game. Donnarumma being treated allowed Pep Guardiola to give his City players more instructions in their win at Leeds. Former Premier League ref Chris Foy says IFAB are looking into this.
We do see tweaks in the laws of the game. You know, we've got a World Cup year coming up. There's always things on the agenda, so I would imagine this will certainly be one of them.
Police are worried more footballers' homes will be raided over Christmas. The Sun's reporting crime group the Gucci Gang is targeting properties in Cheshire and Merseyside for luxury goods. And former Gaelic footballer Charlie Smythe has kicked his first NFL field goal, but it was in vain as New Orleans Saints slipped to their 10th defeat at home to the Miami Dolphins. There's more, as ever, on talksport.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
And Matt Gibson from BetMGM joins us now. We're going to look at some of the top sporting events and the odds round and about them. Mr. Gibson, good morning. What about the games at the top of the Premier League table that we witnessed over the weekend? Where are you at with that this morning?
Yeah, good morning, morning chaps. Chelsea-Arsenal obviously is the one that grabs the headlines here, right? 1-1 was 5-1 before kick-off. Chelsea, a well-earned point in my book with 10 men for more than half the game. I know there's been some criticism of Arteta, Chelsea going down to 10, and was he brave enough? But ultimately they did go 1-0 down. And I think, coming back against a decent Chelsea side at the Bridge, I think that's I'd file that under a decent point for Arsenal, despite playing against 10 men. Man City got a wee bit of a scare, didn't they, against us after about 55 seconds. I was sort of thinking it could have been a cricket score, but we did all right to give them a little bit of a scare. But ultimately, Phil Foden's very good and proved the difference. Odds-wise, at the top of the table, Arsenal still fabs at 1-2, Manchester City 3-1, Chelsea 14-1 to win the thing, and then it's huge prices after that. We're obviously coming into a busy December fixture schedule, lads. Villa probably the form horse in the top lot, 4 wins out of the last 5. Brighton sneaking the way up there into 5th position. Only I think there's 4 points separating 2nd to 8th. The likes of Arsenal, City and Chelsea, the next few fixtures, gents, I wonder if you think it'll be a bit of a procession for the top teams or who blinks first here. Arsenal have got Brentford, Villa, Wolves next up. Man City play Fulham, Sunderland and Palace. Chelsea play Leeds, Bournemouth, Everton. I've got Chelsea as the easiest run out of that lot. I think Arsenal should struggle at Villa, going on the form in the league, and Man City obviously face an informed Sunderland side. Do you think these top teams can make it 9 out of 9 there, or is there a couple of banana skins for the front runners?
Well, I mean, Brentford and Villa for Arsenal next, Martin. What's your take on it?
Villa are in fantastic form right now, so that's a difficult game for anybody. So yeah, no, you're quite right. I think Arsenal do have a difficult period coming up. Brentford, who won at the weekend quite comprehensively. I know it's Burnley, but they have a front three that are to be feared right now, and Damsgaard playing off the front as well. They've got decent pace there. So no, they're tricky games for Arsenal. Chelsea will feel that there's an opportunity here now to close the gap even further.
Okay, and we're at the bottom of the Premier League table. What are you thinking there, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, all of the bottom 5 lose, don't they? And it does feel like a bottom 5 at the moment. I think all bottom 5 did lose, and I think there's only 3 goals scored by the bottom 5. So it feels like those guys are being cut adrift a little bit. Fulham with a really great win at Spurs. They started really well. I'm not quite sure what the goalkeeper was doing for Spurs at early doors, but Fulham getting that win on the board kind of puts daylight in between themselves and the drop. Wolves' fortunes haven't really turned around since Rob Edwards got in, and obviously Burnley struggled at Brentford. Brentford are fantastic at home. Leeds, the narrative around Leeds is that we played all right, but you don't get anything for playing all right. You need points on the board, and West Ham, Liverpool are always going to come good, right? There's too much talent there for them to keep stumbling.
Matt, let's put this to Martin and Simon. Wolves at the moment. I mean, Wolves fans listening this morning don't need me reminding them, but I'll remind you. Played 13-1-0. Is this going to change? Martin, you went through a season in invincible form. Are some Wolves players now beginning to think we could finish this entire season in uninvincible form? In other words, go the whole way without winning?
I don't think that's going to happen. I did see signs against Aston Villa and for Leeds, actually, at the weekend. Not for Burnley, though. I thought Burnley was
Wolves?
second best.
Uninvincible status.
It's interesting. I think Larson at the top of the team, I think he's got good movement. I think he caused Konsa 1 or 2 problems in his movement. Nearly got in. He had a goal disallowed as well for offside. It was just the odd goal that they lost by. They were in this game all the way through, so that would have been encouraging for the manager. They're passing it, little short one and two touch passing.
Arias, the right winger, or wing back, looked not bad on one side and Wolf on the other. So I could see like a semblance of some play coming together. So I don't think they'll go a season, Jim.
But what's
winning.
belief like in that dressing room?
Well, I think he's building it. But it's a slow process because obviously you keep selling players, and Nori gone and Cunha gone, and the quality is not quite what it was. They have bought players to come in, not maybe top level, but I could see something of a punch in the team at the week against Villa. Now, Villa don't really create too much either, so maybe we shouldn't really draw any conclusions from that. But I do feel that Wolves will win a game at some point.
Simon, you felt that Rob Edwards did the dirty on Middlesbrough, hence it pushed you to say that you hope they get relegated. Do you want to row back in that?
Not particularly.
Okay, that's lovely. So, do you think there's a danger here?
No, I think they'll win a game. I mean, the thing is are they going to trouble Derby's record of relegation? They've got Nottingham Forest next, which was a game that I think they've got to get something out of. It's at home, because after that they've got a series of games, albeit Man United are amongst that, and you never know what Man United are going to be. They're going to be challenging for them. They were poor against Palace in this first game. Palace were poor in that game, and they didn't have to do much to beat Wolves. They might have made it, and the least you can expect in the Midlands derby is a little bit of energy about the side. You've got an East Midlands side and Nottingham Forest coming there, which is not the same thing, but notwithstanding that, this is a battle between Nottingham Forest that are now trying to pull away from the challenges that were created to some extent by the appointment of Ange Postecoglou and the challenges that went around that. And Sean Dyche is getting it together. They've got themselves together in Europe. They've just smashed Malmo 3-0 last week. They've got results in the league. They've had a bad result on the weekend, but I would expect Forest to pull away from those challenges. But Wolves are going to get relegated. And it's what state they get relegated in.
You agree with that, Mark?
Well, I think
Wolves get relegated.
It's interesting. Wolves Forest next, and then they've got 2 home games, haven't they? One of those Manchester United.
Do you think they'll go down, Martin?
I do think they'll. Yes, I do think they'll
escape on.
I do think they'll go down, but I think really the next couple of games tells us, how badly it's going to be for them. If they can win these games, Jim, then there will be a change in emphasis, a change in belief. I've got to keep Larsson fit and get him scoring goals. I think he's only got 1 goal this season, even though he nearly left at the start in the pre-season. There's not much hope for them because after that, they then play against Arsenal away.
I'm judging by Larsson, and someone wanted to pay 50.
But anyway, never mind.
He's
a player, of course. Yeah.
He's a player. Let's finish off with the Qatar Grand Prix. What are you thinking there, then, Matt?
Yeah, I mean it's all to play for going into Abu Dhabi next weekend. If I've got the ramifications of this right, I think if Verstappen is to win the overall thing, he's 5-2 to win the Drivers' Championship. He needs to win it and hope that Lando doesn't finish on the podium. That's about all I could get my head around with all the various circumstances that could or could not happen. It's great that we're going down to the last race. There's always a bit of drama in Abu Dhabi. If you remember the safety car and the cars piling up behind the leader a few years back with Toto Wolff going mad. But ultimately, I hope Lando does it. He's favourite to do it at 3-10. We had a British champion in 2020, so we've waited a minute or two to do it. I hope he goes out and wins and keeps Max at arm's length. So
okay.
Hoping all the best for the McLaren boys.
Matt, before you leave us, in a couple of sentences, as a Leeds fan, Donnarumma, was he really injured?
I think it's a bit suspect, isn't it, Jim? When Pep's got the whiteboard out and getting everyone to huddle up. I know it's a thing that you can't take the goalkeeper off. I was actually talking to a few of the lads who support the local team, Donny Rovers, the other day. They said that happens all the time in League One. It's only really that it's been talked about because it's happened in a high-profile game at the Premier League. But I don't know, mate. I think it was a little bit dodgy. They should have enough. They should have enough in the shed without any of the dark arts to get past us, shouldn't they?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Daniel Farker, thanks, Matt. It's called for a law change in football to stop goalkeepers feigning injury to allow managers to hold brief tactic talks on the touchline. We'll get to that. But remember, visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+, be gamble aware. .org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Now then, England and Scotland fans, listen up. You're already there, of course, and the World Cup draw is this Friday. talkSPORT will bring you that live. Don't miss Drive and talkSPORT this week. Goldstein and Ben coming live from the US of A, beginning in New York today and ending in Washington. And they'll bring you all the build-up to Friday's draw. Wow. Fantastic. We want the other nations there too. We won't find out if they get there, the home nations, until March. But certainly England and Scotland are there. Daniel Farke, Leeds United manager. He's called for a law change in football to stop goalkeepers feigning injury, to allow for managers to hold brief tactics talks on the touchline. Now, it was sparked after play was paused during the 3-2 defeat to Manchester City. City goalkeeper Donnarumma went down with an injury. Most of the Manchester City team then headed to the dugout for a tactics team talk as the goalkeeper received treatment. Should that happen? Should that sequence actually be allowed in the rule book? Farke said he had complained to the fourth official, but he was told that his hands were tied. This was Farke.
It's within the rules. It's smart. If it's in the sense of fair play, if it should be like this, I keep it to myself. I leave it with the authorities to find solutions for it. It's within the rules. I asked the fourth official at this point, do we want to do something against it? No. Our hands are tied. We can't do anything. We know that this happens anyhow. If we don't educate our players in football what to do in terms of fair play, sportsmanship, whatever, and you just try to bend the rules somehow just to your advantage, and you can even do a fake injury in order to do additional team talk, I think it's nothing what I personally like anyhow. But if it's within the rules, I can't complain about it.
So that was Farke post-match. Donnarumma, only he knows if he was injured or not. That's fair enough. He stayed on, Martin. He played the rest of the game. James Trafford wasn't needed. When you look at it, feigning injury for a tactical timeout, is it cheating? Is it bending the rules, Martin?
Well, it depends what way you want to look at it, but it's obviously, for now, it's bending the rules. I think it's a problem that we've been aware of for quite a while as to whether or not the goalkeeper doesn't have to go off, which in every other situation, if you get injured, you go off. And
right.
For 30 seconds, we wait for them to have their full complement of players.
Goalkeeper stays on the pitch, but every outfield player in a similar situation has to go off.
Has to go off. Now, obviously, you know, the momentum is lost. Leeds had City on the back foot remarkably, because that was a massive turnaround.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Pep, one of the world's best, is been given an opportunity to give vital information to his team to settle them down, and the momentum change. I didn't see the incident. I don't know if the player was actually injured, but we do need to do something about it. It's difficult to know what we can do, whether or not we stop players coming over to the technical area when there's a stoppage for any player, or certainly for the goalkeeper, whether or not the goalkeeper should be the same. Why doesn't he go off if he gets injured? Everyone's saying, okay, you've got to have a goalkeeper, but would your goalkeeper really risk feigning injury? You know, so for instance, they could have changed the keeper if he really was injured. So we need to look at that, the rules around. And I don't understand why, when a keeper goes off, then they're not handicapped. Maybe they should just have an outfield player that steps off the pitch. But ultimately, it's hard to affect it. And I'm sure the powers that be are looking at it at the moment, because we don't want these stoppages. And obviously, Pep knows the game inside out. It's very smart, but it affected Leeds trying to get back into that game.
I mean, if the shoe was in the other foot, I wonder if Pep would come out and say what Farke said, Simon.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe. But Farke's got every right to think that.
Who knows? Maybe we can look back to the Championship last year when Leeds were on the dominant sides in the Championship and see maybe Farke did the same thing. Who knows? It doesn't seem very complicated to me, and maybe I'm missing something. Is there a rule that says that players are supposed to go over to the technical area and take team coaching from their managers? If there's no rule that says that, then surely there should be a rule that suggests that the technical area is only for the managers. Players shouldn't be in it any time during the game. What we've done is allowed the waters to be muddied by this ridiculous idea that suddenly players have got to be refueled during the games. It's the middle of bleeding winter, not the summer. So we don't need players to be going over there, being given supplements or whatever it is in this instance they're being given, which is tactical team talks. It can't be difficult. If a goalkeeper is down or whoever is down, players are not permitted to step in the technical area. If they step in the technical area, they get booked. End of discussion. Don't have to debate whether the goalkeeper was injured or not injured, or feigning it or not feigning it. Who cares?
There's your rule change.
Just don't allow him to do it.
Yeah, but then someone's going to get a message to the players, aren't they? And the momentum is lost as well.
But
So
that's fine.
You still don't stop the
optics,
goalkeeper cheating, I suppose.
Well, if you send a player on a field at substitution, you can get messages to the players, right? We all know that. But you're not going to have a whiteboard on the technical area, but the optics of it being played out again. But if you simply say players can't go to technical, end of discussion.
I'd ask the question of the goalkeeper: if you ran the risk that you've actually got to go off the pitch yourself, and you're going to be down to 10 men, and you haven't got a goalkeeper, would you feign injury? Would there be, because there's a high jeopardy there?
But I don't understand.
At the moment, there isn't a jeopardy.
What are players doing in the technical area? Why are players congregating in the technical area?
Well, they're claiming they're coming across for a drinks break.
Well, then they don't need a drinks break.
Don't you have a drinks break when you're playing your paddle?
Oh, come off it. I'm not an elite athlete. I'm strolling around a paddle tennis court and having a legitimate break every 2 games. Is what you do in tennis.
Breaks a lace
the rules of tennis
don't go over
the rules of tennis are, and paddle tennis, you break every 2 games. Different sets of dynamics. All of a sudden, because of the nonsense of what players should and shouldn't have, we've now got to have them refueled during the middle of a game. You never had that as a player. And whilst new information is beneficial to players' well-being, they're not going over for drinks. They're going for a tactical team talk. So don't allow it. Simple.
Robinson's Bailey water, every 5 minutes you see them having a drink in tennis. Players have to rehydrate.
Stick to this, Omar.
Yeah, but that's what they'll hide behind.
Stick to this.
That's what
because the fans, the supporters see it. They're not silly.
I'm sure that the powers that be now
start
next season, there'll be something in place.
Martin,
but I'm not even sure it's going to stop this from making.
If you want to have designated times for players to have a break, then have designated times. When a goalkeeper's gone down and feigning injury or being legitimately injured, that's a confected outcome, one way or t'other, whether it's legitimate or it's not legitimate. Don't allow players to be in the technical area. End of discussion. End of debate. End of it. And players can hide behind nothing. There is no deliberation on this. They're not allowed in the technical area. Yeah. They can't go in there, and they certainly can't go in there and look at a bloody whiteboard.
It doesn't stop slowing the game down, does it? And the goalkeeper is doing that and being allowed to stay on the pitch. I'm not completely comfortable with that either.
But that's not the question at hand here. You're arguing different arguments.
It is because they lost momentum. They didn't get back into the game.
We're not singling out Manchester City here, incidentally. And we're not just saying this is unique to them and Donnarumma. We're not pointing the finger at him. This goes on in the game, Martin. And it's got to be eradicated. It's got to be stopped. Well, because anything that holds up the momentum of the game, especially if it's feigned, should be outlawed.
100%. And that's why we've got to do something radical now to sort this out. But they've got to cover off every eventuality.
But is Daniel Farke's argument that it gives them an unfair advantage to give them coaching in the middle of a game, or it's denying momentum? Which is his argument?
A bit of both.
Because
the whole thing helped them.
Right, I mean, it really is a bit childish.
It put a spoke in the wheel of their momentum.
No, I think he's right.
The momentum thing, yes, I understand that. But Martin, you can make this. You lot, every opportunity that you give players to bend the rules, they'll do it. When did it become that a player falls over, hurts his leg, and the game has to be stopped? It was supposed to be introduced with a head injury. It's not a head injury now, it's everything. Yeah. The players have now decided amongst themselves that they are now going to demand that every single time a player gets injured, the referee's got to bring the game back.
You make the goalie,
isn't that a momentum killer?
If you make the goalie go off every time he's injured, he'll be definitely injured, right? Because he's not going to give up his goal and put himself in that sort of situation. So quite often you'll see Trafford would have come off the bench and gone into the goal. That's different. We can replace the keeper, but if he's injured and he can carry on, right? And I know there's levels here, and it's very difficult. But if we're going to flaunt and play with the rules in the way we are, then something radical has to change.
But the game is beset with flaunting the rules. So why single this out? I just gave an example. Players lay on the floor in order to be able for the game to be stopped when the rules themselves say only in advent of head injury. But that's been ignored. So why is that not important then?
Well, I thought the referee yesterday in the Chelsea Arsenal game was quite good actually, realising that players were over egging the point that they were injured when they weren't. So ignored it.
So this in of itself, if Farke's argument is that they gain and garner different intelligence, well, get your players to perform at a better level then. And if it's about momentum,
there is a bit of that, Simon.
They were performing at a very good level.
There is a bit of that. I mean, are we getting towards an NFL timeout type scenario? I mean, we're not going to get round it because this is what players do. Maybe only Donnarumma knows if he was injured or not, but he carried on to finish the game. But it kills the game. And you're standing there watching it. I don't want to stand there watching a game, watching and see, Donnarumma, how is he? Get him off. And incidentally, stop that lot getting a tactic stop from Pep because it's wrong. And Farke's right. Change the rules. What do you think? 03717 223344.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 2 minutes past 12, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. talkSPORT's Martin Keown thinks Chelsea's ill-discipline cost them 3 points at home to Arsenal. Enzo Maresca has no complaints about Caicedo's first-half red card in the 1-1 draw. Simon Jordan says Chelsea can win the Premier League again, just not this season.
It looks to me like that Chelsea are going to be the people that are going to perhaps push Arsenal. Liverpool are going to find themselves, they're going to recover, and all of this nonsense about Liverpool will find itself getting together. Man City are not the same team as they were.
Johan Wissa's closer to making his Newcastle debut following a knee injury. Eddie Howe says Wissa's played a full training game and will play another this week.
Everything's positive, but he will be back involved when we think he's able to contribute to the group and has a minimal chance of re-injury.
Newcastle versus Spurs is live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. Meanwhile, former Spurs striker Meadows questioned the mentality of the current squad, who have just 5 points from 7 home games this season.
With all the respect to all the players that we have, we don't have a player like Kane. We don't have a player like Robbie Keane. We don't have a player like Son, of course.
Meanwhile, some breaking news. Sheffield Wednesday have been deducted another 6 points in the Championship. They are in administration at the moment. More on the show coming up with Jim and Simon. Serena Vigman hasn't had any talks about extending her England contract, but says she's very relaxed about it.
I'm still really enjoying the job. I think the team is still enjoying that I'm around. I think that's really, really important too.
Weidman's current deal expires at the end of the 2027 World Cup. Hampden Park's being renamed in a sponsorship deal. Scotland's national stadium will now be called Barclays Hampden, and Ascot Racecourse has announced record prize money of £19.4 million for next year. That's an increase of £1.65 million.
talkSPORT News.
The Prime Minister insists the Chancellor did not mislead the public over the country's finances, and there's more bin misery for people in Birmingham. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Get 10% off 2 or more premium tyres in our Black Friday event. Don't miss out and book today at quickfit.com and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Wet and windy right across the UK. Possible flooding in South Wales and North West England. Cold in the northwest, milder elsewhere.
Good afternoon, everybody. Monday afternoon, and Sheffield Wednesday fans will be wondering, good God, what can happen next? Deducted another 6 points. Championship club Sheffield Wednesday, as you heard in Nick's bulletin there, deducted another 6 points. All season, just 1 win in 18. Life doesn't get any easier, Simon, for Sheffield Wednesday, does it? I mean, the supporters will know, look, obviously.
It's kind of irrelevant in the season.
It's irrelevant now.
I mean, they're getting relegated. It was already an asterisk season anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, the big argument should be, really, is if somebody wants, like I said on Thursday, which seems to have evaded some of the Sheffield Wednesday fans, really should be an argument about suppressing the amount of money Chansiri gets and getting a 15-point penalty that happens in this season, because it's guidance, not rules in the EFL. So someone coming in shouldn't have to pay Chansiri 25p in a pound, and a 15-point penalty should be this season, not next.
Those are the rules, are they, that Chansiri gets 25 pence in a pound, and that's it, and he walks off with a bunch of money?
Yeah, the rules are he gets 25p in a pound if you don't want to be further sanctioned. The idea that the rules are defined that you have to have the 15 points in the next season, that's not true. That's guidance. And what should happen is that EFL should be challenged on it. And the reasons why no one wants to is who wants to buy a football club and have a fight with the governance immediately?
Yeah.
But really and truly, if you're buying Sheffield Wednesday, anyone that comes in should want to buy it for as little as they can and give all the money to the club, so that all the money that someone buys it for going forward. And watch a lot of these bidders drop away.
Yeah.
Wait and see.
Okay. It used to be the case that we would call Chansiri and he would think about coming on or not. Now he just doesn't seem to take his calls. We'll see. We'll try.
Call him collect.
He's kind of fallen right out of the picture, hasn't he? A huge reaction to the call request that I made minutes ago. Leeds boss Daniel Farke calling for a rule change to stop goalkeepers feigning injury, to allow managers to hold team talks at the side of the pitch, as Pep did in the game at the weekend. Manchester City won the game against Leeds United. Farke saying, hang on, this isn't on. Was Donnarumma injured or was he not? We'll maybe get to that before we get to 1 o'clock. So much to get through in the final hour. Ben Whitaker made his matchroom debut with a first-round knockout over Benjamin Gavazzi at the weekend. Was that a statement win? Could you call it that? Adam Smith, top boxing commentator, joins us live this lunchtime. Before we hear from Adam, let's hear from Whitaker, because he got the win he wanted.
Andy said in the locker room, he said, what you do in sparring's enough. Go out there and do that. Work behind your things. I don't want to give it away, but he said, work behind your things and it'll all come together. And damn, I look good. Of course, like I said, he was a game kid. 19 fights or 20 fights, he's only lost one. He come to change his life, but like I said, I'm going to show something special. I'm going to show why I'm different. And you don't get Olympic medals for hopping around on 1 foot. I can do it all, baby.
Ben Whitaker, post-fight. Adam Smith, was it a statement win? What did you think?
It was definitely a statement win. He was absolutely electric. I love the ring walk with Dizzy Rascal, and the performance was exactly what Ben needed. I think tying up with Eddie Hearn, the next stage and phase of his career. That's 2 quick wins under Andy Lee as well. The Liam Cameron story finished in Birmingham earlier in the year. And Benjamin Gavazzi was never going to beat Ben Whitaker levels in this sport, I think, but he came in with ambition. He was 19-1, 13 knockouts. So he was a decent opponent on paper, but it was the manner of victory for me. There'll be much, much tougher tests ahead. The 12 stone 7 division, Jim Simon, is the hottest in boxing. And but it was mission accomplished. The knockout goes viral. Ben Whitaker had 3.5 million Instagram followers before Saturday night. I think it will be a huge amount more before Christmas. So I think it was job done for Team Whitaker.
I mean, I'll bring Simon in on this, but I mean, Adam, you, like everything else in sport, you can only beat what's in front of you. Has he had much in front of him thus far?
I think Liam Cameron's a good fighter. He's proved himself, hasn't he, over the years, and he had the 2 fights with him. I think that they're bringing him steadily through. Ben Boxer had him first, Olympic silver medalist, wonderful amateur, but always takes time to adapt to the professional ranks. Ben Whitaker's been boxing since he was 7 years old. I'm a big admirer of him. I think he's got great work ethic. The showmanship is not to everyone's liking. He's a Marmite character, but he's a lovely fella sort of outside the ring. And now he's with Andy Lee. I think he's got a real opportunity to develop into a mature professional fighter. He is 28, so they can't take too long, but I think he'll gather momentum next year. I know Eddie wants to take him stateside. He hasn't fought in America yet. He's fought a couple of times in Riyadh. But I think, look, you can only beat what's put in front of you. It is all about matchmaking, this business. And there's some real sharks at 12 stone 7. So they've got to get this right. There's a lot of pressure on those shoulders of Ben Whitaker. And at the moment, he's handling it beautifully.
Do you think he's still got a lot to do, Simon, to shut down the doubters?
Well, it depends who the doubters are. I mean, the guy that he beat on Saturday had knocked over 18 tomato cans. So with due respect to the opponents, whilst he had a good record on paper, there wasn't anybody on it of any repute. Ben did his job. He went in there and did the job that was asked of him. He did it clinically, he did it viciously, and he did it professionally. He's got style, he's got confidence, he's got all the characteristics to make a star. There are questions about him. The questions were asked about him in the Ezra fight, where he couldn't finish that fight. When he had that fight at Selhurst Park, where there was a lot of noise about what they were going to do to one another, and Ben couldn't get him out of there. There's noise about his punch power. We've seen a little bit different from the situation. Andy Lee comes with a lot of reputation. Don't know what Joseph Parker thinks of that reputation now, after Andy Lee was his trainer for the fight against Fabio Wardley and fought a fight in the way that he should never have fought. But that's a different discussion. Do I think Ben Whitaker is a star for the future? Absolutely. Do I think that Ben Whitaker would beat certain fighters at this stage in his career? Would I put him anywhere near Lyndon Arthur and someone of that nature? Nowhere near him for at least a year. But do I think he wins a world title when Beterbiev and Biv will sail off? Probably.
Right. So you've got to pick your opponent carefully for Ben Whitaker.
But that's the claim that Frank Smith and Eddie Hearn, when they took their side swipe at Ben Shalom, was, we'll matchmake him better. Okay, well, you've got a guy with a decent record in terms of the number of fights he's had. The fact that I've just said he fought tomato cans is a fair observation, but it looks like style over content, and that's matchmaking. It's building the reputation. Whitaker's mouth will build some of it as well. So you've got a star in the making here, absolutely.
Do you think he's bound to become a world champion, Adam?
I do, yes. I agree with Simon. I think probably he will become a world champion, but it's very, very tough at 175. The three Bs in Beterbiev, Bivol, and of course Benavides now, who goes up to cruiserweight to fight Zero Ramirez, but will come back down, is already calling out Ben Whitaker for a big fight at Wembley Stadium. Ben brings the attention, he brings the money, and also he brings that Marmite, the love him, hate him type attraction, I guess, for people. People want to see him win, people want to see him lose. You can't ignore him. And with that ring walk with Dizzy Rascal after we saw 50 Cent and Eubank Jr. and all the hoopla at Tottenham the other week, this is great, and it's entertainment too. And Ben knows about that, and Eddie knows about it, which is why he really believes in it. But he has got incredible ability. I think the punch power that Simon mentioned, it was a worry at the beginning, but it seems like he's hitting harder under Andy. Look, Andy Lee's been there with Emmanuel Stewart in that Cronk gym, and if he starts to pick up tips from there, then I think that'll stand him in good stead. The likes of Lyndon Arthur and the others, yeah, that's ahead. They've got to match him cleverly, but I think they will, and I think he will become a world champion at some stage.
Well, poor old Whitaker, while he was strutting his stuff during the ring walk and then in the ring itself, his house was being burgled. This was him on Instagram.
Highs and lows of the sports. Come back, house has been burgled. But Wednesbury, I got a big reward. Find these people, let me know. They've even took my IBF belt. What are they going to do with that? So yeah, let me know. Hit me up in the DMs. Big reward. Love.
How desperately sad is that, though? Isn't it? Isn't it pathetic, Adam, that while he's doing what he's paid to do, some house intruders pay him a visit and make it a night not to remember?
Yeah, fighters put their lives on the line each time they get into the ring. It's the most dangerous sport in the world. The respect I have for them, each one of them, and to go home and have that after such a night is just, it's so disappointing. It's so upsetting. I remember Carol and Ray and when Ricky was fighting, and the whole of Hyde and the whole of Manchester would be at the fights, and they always sort of worried slightly that what would happen, no one at home, everyone out, and all the rest of it. But it's just, you just can't think of this. It's just like, it's crazy. But let's hope it gets sorted out, and let's hope they get the IBF belt back. It's things like that. It's just it's momentous. Why is the question. But yeah, it's a sad one,
isn't it? It's very sad. Jamie TKV is going to join us in a few moments. He got the win over Fraser Clark. He got the nod from the judges. What do you think? Is it over for Fraser in terms of a world title shot at any time now?
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Fraser Clark's only been a pro 3.5 years. He's 34 years of age, 9-2-1 record. He's a big puncher, and he's got a big heart. And he was an amateur for a long time around AJ and Joe Joyce, and he came through it eventually. So I wouldn't write Fraser off at all. I'm sure he'll be licking his wounds and taking time out with his beautiful family. But the congratulations has to go to TKV. I thought Fraser was probably favourite in Derby to win beforehand, but TKV, what a great performance. That 11th round was savage, and he won the British heavyweight title, and that's brilliant. He's had a background, he's had a difficult last year or two, especially with the David Adelaide performance and what happened there with the controversy. So delighted for TKV. Fraser, it's up to him. We never look at fighters and say what you should and shouldn't do. It's up to him and his family, but he's got a lot of minerals. He's got a lot of quality about him. In and out of the ring, whatever he decides, he's going to be a fantastic ambassador for boxing, period. He already is. They're two great professionals, and good to see that TKV comes through, and when you speak to him, send him my best.
Will do. Adam Smith, thank you very much indeed. Top boxing commentator with a voice like that. How could he not be? Jamie TKV is on the way. We were talking boxing, the other side of the break there. Of course, the fight at the weekend, the big fight, Fraser Clark up against Jamie TKV. And the two fighters were in studio with Simon and myself last week. Bit of bad blood, when is there not in boxing, going into this fight? Well, there was only one winner, and it was Jamie TKV. He beat Fraser Clark by a split decision, albeit, to claim the British heavyweight title in Derby. And Jamie has joined us in studio. Well done. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you too.
How do you feel?
I feel amazing, man. It's a great feeling. Usually, sometimes, even when I win, I'm a bit too overcritical, but I've woken up with a smile on my face, and I'm a British heavyweight champion. Can't get any better than that.
Oh, Jimmy, you say you've woken up. If anybody needs to know how tough the boxing is, do me a favour. To the camera ahead of you there, tilt your glasses down. Have a look at that shiner. Wow. And I don't think Fraser was in good shape at the end of it, was he?
Yeah, nah, he, unfortunate circumstance. Obviously, things happen. I'm not going to disclose it. Maybe he would himself, but he had to get checked up thoroughly. But
yeah,
I'm happy to hear that he's okay. My team spoke to him. I haven't had a chance to actually speak to him after. But I did speak to him in the changing room, but beyond that, I ain't been able to speak to him. But my team spoke to him and he's okay. He's doing well. I spoke to some of his team members and Fraser's fine now, so he's all good.
It looked brutal in the ring.
It was that
brutal, wasn't it?
The last 2 rounds, it was down to those 2 rounds to take this title home. So I went out there and made sure I brought this title home. And eventually it did get brutal in there.
Yeah. For those who need to see it, and I'm one of them, that wonderful British Lonsdale bet. Do me a favour, lift it up a bit, Jamie, for the cameras ahead of you. Lift it right. There it is. There it is. The spoils of war. Yeah. And that is what Jamie TKV has lifted. Many great fighters have held that in their hands. And Simon, that is the reward that the fellow to your left there has rightly won for all the effort.
Yeah, I mean, he earned it, didn't he? I mean, ultimately, you can see how much it means to him, and so it should, because these things are unique. He joins a very illustrious list of fighters, you know, including people like Lennox Lewis and Frank Bruno that have won this belt.
Henry Cooper,
absolutely. Yeah. That means something. And so Jamie, you know, will feel, I suspect, vindicated, because most of us, with all respect to Jamie, picked Fraser for this fight. Also, the adversity of the David Adelaide situation, where he thinks, and probably rightly so, that he was unjustly handled in that particular fight. The circumstances were difficult. And, you know, whilst the fight wasn't the most enjoyable of fights to watch, it creates a whole raft of opportunities for him. And I'm hoping for him that it gets monetised, because people will now talk about where he goes next. You know, whether it's Dave Allen. The difficulty with fighting Dave Allen is like clubbing Bambi, isn't it? People like him so much. If Jamie goes out and does a number on Dave Allen, it doesn't. I don't know what it does for him, but he deserves it. You know, he was up on, you know, a little bit irritable last week, but that's the nature of the beast, isn't it?
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, you were days away from the fight itself. Yeah. Look, you've got your opponent sitting feet from you in this studio,
exactly,
and you could feel the tension in here. That's what it's like pre-fight, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, I was in fight mode, you know. Anything could have lit me up a little bit, but it was all about mind games. I know Fraser, and I don't know if you guys watched the first presser. We kept it cool, because me and him are cool. There was no issues. But I knew I had to go in there and play mind games, and I played mind games, and he did not expect that. So it was a lot of mind games.
Do you think that played a part in the speed at which he came out of the blocks?
100%, because I set that tone and said that he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. And then he tried to make a point, he tried to prove himself. I've never seen Fraser Clark rattled the way he was rattled. Like, he was upset, he really wanted to make a point more, wanted to make a statement, wanted to get me out of there in the first round. So he came out steaming, out of the block, steaming at me. And that's when I knew the mind games worked, you know. Despite everyone being worried,
you played the patient game.
Yeah, I made sure I was patient, but once I got back to the corner, my team were happy with that. They said, he's thrown the kitchen sink at you. This is perfect.
Yeah.
You know, but it was all a part of the game plan.
Jamie, do you think up until now you've been overlooked? Is this your big chance now?
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, not saying that everything is perfect. There's still improvements to be made, but I do feel like I've been overlooked. So this is my chance to prove it, just like you said.
It was a huge test for him. I mean, I looked at the two boys in this studio, Simon, last week. I was like, my God, imagine getting hit by either one of them. Fraser is a big unit. And Jamie dispatched him.
Yeah, he did. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks that, the 11th round should have been the end of the fight because you looked at Fraser, he wasn't in good condition. There wasn't really a necessity for him to come out for the 12th, besides the fact that these guys are warriors and gladiators. He didn't look in good nick. You have to look at the scoring. I think Terry O'Connor needs to have a look in the mirror because I think the scoring that he gave in terms of giving it to Fraser, I think was ludicrous, and some of the scoring that these guys have to endure. Whether I like a fighter or dislike a fighter, or whether I admire their style is irrelevant. They put their lives at risk. They go into a sport which is the most noble of sports, and I expect better from judges. And the scoring from Terry O'Connor on the weekend was poor.
Yeah.
Jamie now has an opportunity, and it's an opportunity to build his career. And it's not bad being the underdog. It's not bad being because people
I actually like being underdog.
Don't see you coming, do they?
Yeah, exactly that.
Would you prefer it that way, going into your next fight as well?
Yeah, because people underestimate you, and then when you do better than what they estimated, it's better. You know what I'm saying? It's always better for
Simon, what is this fella like? He's a totally different guy this week.
Well, yeah.
Pre and post fight.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a big cuddly lad.
I poked him and prodded him last week, and he had a little bit of a set to in the break. But that's
you did,
fine.
Jamie. I thought you were going to chin him.
That's,
he was getting interested.
Like I said, it was all mind games.
That's fine. And ultimately, you have the mindset of a fighter is something very, very unique, isn't it?
Yeah.
And leading up to a fight, a week, you have to be careful with these guys.
I can see the look in your face for a moment.
Not at all. Not the slightest. But the fact is also the part of the Fraser that fight with Fraser also had to deal with to some extent. Was his fight in front of a home crowd. So he had a double whammy sword. So he probably knows this because Fraser will want to go and put a statement performance on.
Yeah.
So he gets under his skin at the same time as Fraser was expected to win. At the same time, he had the added pressure of being in front of his home crowd. And this guy took him to a place that he didn't like.
Yeah, and you did to your
Fraser
credit.
couldn't cope with it, unfortunately, for him.
And we like Fraser, we like you as well. Jimmy, what is next? I mean, this is your big opportunity now. You're live in talkSPORT this lunchtime. I mean, they'll be throwing names at you. But do you think you've got other levels that you can get to?
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't mind an extra fight at British level, then possibly move on to European level and explore what other options there may be. But obviously there's names like Dave Allen, which I'm very interested in, a fight that I'm very interested in. But just like I said, European level, and then we start pushing on slowly, getting closer to the world level. But before we move on to anything else, I do want to say what I said before about Fraser not doing nothing, or if he loses, his career's done. Forget all of that. Fraser has a lot left. Like, people may think otherwise, but he has a lot left. And I believe he beats a lot of other heavyweights out there. So I wish Fraser the best and hope he continues and no one convinces him otherwise. That's all. But yeah, so.
You've come through a lot, Jimmy, in terms of your backstory. And you have come through a lot in life. To have that belt in front of you now, in your possession, and it's yours.
Yes.
What does it mean to you?
I've got asked this question like 10 times. I can't even explain the feeling. It's just, I can't even put it into words, but it's an amazing feeling. That's what I've got.
Jenny, when do you get back now in the training? Because you're looking at that, you're thinking, well, okay, what do I need to improve on?
Yeah.
Do I need to be fitter? You just ask for another fight before you have,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, what is it you need to be better at?
There's so many other things. Obviously, I'm going to sit down with my team, but there's things that I see within myself, but even tactical stuff and just small personal stuff that I can do, or maybe stuff I can do outside the ring that could improve me and improve my performance in general. But yeah, I'm going to take a break. Christmas is coming up. I'm going to enjoy it with the family.
I think you deserve that.
I deserve, exactly. So it's been a long year for me, I'll be honest with you. So I'm going to enjoy the holiday. But definitely I'll be taking over within a week. Let me have a week off. Let this heal up.
Don't get too comfortable.
Yeah, don't get too comfortable. That's it.
Lovely to see. We've seen it twice in about the last 3 months. Two fighters come in this room that are thrilled with their outcomes. Right? You saw Lewis Crocker come in after winning the world title against Paddy Donovan. Thrilled with himself. Can't believe it.
Yeah.
This guy's doing the same. This is the beginning of an opportunity for him. He'll want to take it to the European belt level if he can, to the next level, and then on perhaps to the worlds. But it's lovely to see a sportsman come in here rather than sour-faced footballers telling us how hard done by they are. Somebody coming here and going, this is great. I'm thrilled.
I wasn't asked any of that.
I'm thrilled.
Well
done.
Jamie, all I can say is you should have heard some of the things Simon was saying about you when you left the studio.
I know.
It was appalling.
He knows.
It was. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Simon's a nice guy. I know he's a nice guy. Me and him will get along.
You'd like to get him in the
but
ring.
I did say I wanted to invite Simon to the gym. We could do a workout. We could get the talkSPORT cameras. We could film this and put it up.
Now you're talking.
Love to see. Do you play paddle? Do you play paddle? Do you play paddle? Because he's not a boxer.
Yeah, no, I mean, but he's got to step in our field because he talks about our field. So let's
Jimmy,
let's
would
do
you
it.
do a bit of playful sparring with Simon?
Yeah, of course. We could do some body sparring. No head punches.
You work on your own body.
Yeah. We could do some body sparring. Don't worry.
Jamie, congratulations, mate.
Thank you.
And thanks for taking the trouble to come in again today, because I know it's time off for you now.
Yes, exactly.
But you've chosen to come into the building here and we're delighted. Well done, champ.
Thank you.
Shows the belt again. There's the camera, Jamie. Come on, it's yours. Brilliant stuff. Jamie TKV, who beat Fraser Clark by split decision and claimed the British heavyweight title in Derby. Well done to him. It's 12:30.
Chelsea have shown they can lift themselves against anybody, according to talkSPORT's Scott Minto, but he thinks the Premier League title is still beyond them.
It's the inconsistency of the lack of senior pros that will see the Brighton result, that will see the Sunderland result, the Carabao away. And I just don't think they've quite got the consistency that Arsenal have.
Arsenal are still 5 points clear at the top. Gabby Agbonderhall calls it a decent result.
You got a point against probably your biggest rivals this season away from home. They've got to come to you now at the Emirates where you'd back Arsenal. So it's not a bad point for Arsenal.
Reece James called it a statement result for Chelsea, while Enzo Maresca has no complaints about Caicedo's first half red card. Former West Ham manager Alan Pardew, meanwhile, says Lucas Paqueta has to put his frustrations to one side after his red card for dissent. Paqueta has appeared to blame his behaviour on a lack of support from the FA after being cleared of spot fixing.
You have to put that to one side and say, well, okay, the frustration can come out, but you have to utilise it in a better manner than that.
Now we're told the spate of keepers going down injured needs eradicating from the game. Donnarumma being treated allowed Pep Guardiola to give his City players more instructions in their win at Leeds. Former Premier League ref Chris Foy says IFAB are looking into this.
We do see tweaks in the laws of the game. We've got a World Cup year coming up. There's always things on the agenda, so I would imagine this will certainly be one of them.
Police are worried more footballers' homes will be raided over Christmas. The Sun's reporting crime group The Gucci Gang is targeting properties in Cheshire and Merseyside for luxury goods. And former Gaelic footballer Charlie Smythe has kicked his first NFL field goal, but it was in vain as New Orleans Saints slipped to their 10th defeat at home to the Miami Dolphins. There's more, as ever, on talkSPORT.com.
Just gone 12:30 this Monday lunchtime. Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown, and we are live on talkSPORT, courtesy of Selco. It's where the trade goes. One or two things get sorted out over the weekend, did they not? Liverpool got back into winning ways at West Ham. We'll get to that. We want to stick on West Ham at this particular moment because Luis Paqueta, the Brazilian who plays for West Ham, was sent off in the final few minutes after picking up a second yellow for dissent, talking his way to a red card. Interestingly, Sky Sports posted a clip on social media of his sending off with the commentator suggesting it was, quotes, ridiculous behaviour. Paqueta responded to that video with the following. He says, it's ridiculous to have your life and career affected for 2 years without any psychological support from the Federation. Perhaps this ridiculous behaviour is just a reflection of everything I've had to endure, and it seems have to endure carry on enduring. I'm sorry if I'm not perfect. Now, of course, we know that in July, Paqueta was cleared of spot fixing charges by an independent regulatory commission. Now, after that, Paqueta also posted another message following this incident at the London Stadium. He says, I understand that now I have to come across as a villain. It's hard to live with everything that was caused in my life and in my psyche. I'll keep trying to ensure they don't affect me even more. This doesn't justify my expulsion, and that's why I apologise to the fans and my teammates. After that, nothing more from Paqueta. But post-match, Nuno Espirito Santo wouldn't be drawn on that red card.
I want to speak with him first. I want to have a private conversation, try to understand. And for sure, in the next press conference, you're going to be there, and we can talk about it, and I'll speak about it freely. I think it's unfair not to make any kind of comment without a chance to speak with him.
We heard what Paqueta said, Martin. We heard what he said in his first statement, Simon. It's ridiculous to have your life and career affected for 2 years without any psychological support from the Federation. You get any sympathy for him?
Who's the Federation he's referring to?
The FA.
Well, surely he should be asking for support from the PFA, shouldn't he? They're the people that should be supporting him. They're the people that represent him. The Federation, the FA, are the people that are bringing a charge against him. They can't support him in a situation where they believe they have evidence to bring a charge against him for a very significant set of circumstances. Of course, if he is entirely innocent of these charges, and let's be clear, they weren't proven. That doesn't make you exonerated. The outcome was it wasn't proven, which means that maybe there was a very good case to bring against him, but it wasn't proven well enough. I don't know. My nose tells me that probably is likely the case, because of course, if he has indeed been a victim of spurious charges, I'm assuming he'll be suing people left, right and centre and looking for compensation for the loss of revenue and opportunities and moves to Manchester City, and God knows what else he would have gotten as a result of his very high performing playing career.
I mean, he was cleared.
They weren't proven. That's different. There's a difference between.
Well, he wasn't found guilty. I'll put it
Correct.
another way.
That doesn't make you necessarily. That doesn't mean that the charges that were brought against you without foundation. Because of course, if the charges, can you imagine being accused of something that you really didn't do? If you look at these outbursts, and if there was absolutely no evidence, they had no right to bring these charges against him, and he has actually had his life turned upside down, you can understand this outburst. If that is the position, you can understand what he feels, because ultimately, whilst he's using it as an excuse for his on-field behaviour in this instance, behind that is a great sense of injustice.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, he was facing the prospect of a lifetime ban if he'd been found guilty.
Well, that was what the tariff was being suggested that the league wanted to bring to the table and ask the Independent Regulatory Commission to be able to adjudicate upon. They have said that the charges that the FA brought against him were not proven. That is not the same as being completely exonerated, and the fact that the charges should never have been brought in the first place. If the charges should never have been brought in the first place, then this man should be going after the FA and going after them with all barrels firing at them, because that is a horrendous abuse of power. It is a complete misrepresentation and a damaging of a man's career and reputation, because he's been damaged as a result of it. Because once somebody throws enough stick at you, or the other, then ultimately you will find yourself in a situation where you're judged by it. So that's why you can, if indeed that's the case, my reading of the situation was there was enough reasons for them to bring the case. They didn't prove it. They didn't have enough to prove it.
Right.
Now,
so if his head's
there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people. Just a minute. Just a minute. There's a lot. Just a minute. There's a lot of people that don't go the legal route in life. We've been. You must have been in a situation. I know you went very legal. Yeah. So you like to offer that up. But a lot of people don't. People don't want to go it. You're never quite certain if you're going to win it. You go to a barrister. It's a difficult road. Okay, let's not discount what he went through.
Well, if you've never done something, then you fight for yourself, don't you? And if you are being accused,
if you have the means to do so, we assume he has.
He has the means, doesn't he?
Yes,
and so will his club have.
But law of probability, there's all those aspects. It's very difficult.
If you've never done something that you've been accused of, it is not a reach to go and defend yourself.
No, but he wants to get on with his football career. Now,
then don't bring it up then.
Well, again, I'm not sure how he can bring any of this into how he behaved at the weekend. Now, look, this is going to be the sending off for me. There's no way that you can support this. He loses his head. But
yeah,
Darren England for the first yellow card. For me, I think it's a little bit of an overreaction. I'm not on the pitch. Okay, so maybe he's in the.
Is he the captain?
Maybe he's in the air.
Is Paqueta the captain?
Well, he's not. No, I don't believe he's the captain. Is he? So he's
Jared Bourne's account.
Yeah. So maybe but he's not actually gone to the ref. He's thrown his arms in the air. Now maybe he's done this once or twice.
18 months ago when players were being booked left, right, and centre for creating that response, i.e., you go visibly dispute a referee's decision, you get booked. We saw it happen to Arsenal players because you whined about it at the time. So the fact of the matter is that rule been softened or does it still exist? If it still exists, he gets booked.
But Darren England has reacted to him histrionics, throwing his arms in the air. He's not actually gone to the ref. He hasn't said anything to the ref, but we don't know if he's done something on the...
That's not the rule, Martin.
I'm just saying to you, then he becomes incensed by the referee booking him and he can't get his head over it. Now, everyone's trying to drag him away and he can't be calmed down. He's unprofessional and he has to walk.
They are them. So
100%. So I agree with that. But where I am saying there's an element of sympathy is because he's reacted to, and we all do it, we all react to, ref, are you sure? And then he's gone, right, yellow card.
Yeah, but he's done a little bit more than that.
Came a bit early.
He's done a little bit more than that.
He must have done.
But the guidance is, and we saw this because you carped on about it with one of your players, got victim of it in a particular game. If the guidelines are and the rules are, because it all goes quiet, once people lose interest in it, once the media lose interest in the subject matter, it goes silent. It doesn't mean that the rule's been stopped. If the rule still exists that players can't demonstrate or remonstrate in a demonstrative way, then he's got himself a booking, whether you like it or you don't.
Yeah, but he's thrown his arms in the air. He hasn't gone running to the referee.
But that's what the other kids did.
The referee's looking the other way.
But that's what the other kids did a couple of seasons ago. And
this sort of thing must be happening a lot, and he feels he's seen it happening to other people.
But that's irrelevant.
Other people have got away with it. They're picking on me. He doesn't necessarily like authority.
But
he's had issues.
But that's what he's saying here. So, we then move on to the situation, move past the idea of what he's done on the field. We then move into the scenario where he's talking about what he should have been given. He's absolutely right. Why wasn't he given psychological support from the Federation? In this instance, not the FA, because they're the ones that are prosecuting. That'd be laughable, wouldn't it? How can they be giving him support when they're prosecuting him or bringing a case against him? Right? Surely it must mean the PFA, that wonderful, useful organisation that's supposed to be looking after their players. Where are they again? Oh, well, invisible as usual.
I think it does. The PFA does actually look after it.
Well, clearly he doesn't think he does.
Well, he hasn't said that, has he? So we don't know. So that's the interpretation. You love to go for the PFA, so you've interpreted it in that way.
I'm assuming because they're useless and incompetent and a waste of time and lazy and unprofessional, shouldn't be in the game.
Quite right.
But that's fine. We have a different opinion on that. But he's talking about someone looking after him. So I'm assuming if someone was looking after him, he'd have said, "I've been looked after by the PFA." He didn't. So again, the point is that he doesn't feel that he's been looked after. He feels that he's been badly treated. If he is not guilty of one single scintilla of this case, I don't care what excuse you give him. Surely to God, anyone with any backbone is going to say, "No, you don't do that to me." And to be a professional footballer, you have to have substance. To be a Premier League footballer, you have to have even more substance. So he's a character. He's a leader. He's a man of substance. So I would expect him to be bringing a claim against people for the outrageous indiscretion that was foisted upon him.
But in this position,
he won't. He's not, because I'm sure it's not as black and white as that.
When you play football, you leave your problems at the doorstep. You can't drag that onto the pitch and say that all these things have been in my head.
And he has done that.
And he's done that. He's let himself down. Look, it will pass over. I think the manager's done the right thing.
But that's not to do with that.
To let it go.
That little incident is nothing to do with that. He's now making it to do with that because it suits him to run a narrative. He did that because he's a footballer that thinks he can say what he wants.
Yeah, but
what he got done, what the referee went, "Listen, I'm the authority in this game. Yeah. You'll do as you're told."
Well,
and then he made it about things in the past.
We shall see in the fullness of time what the punishment is. Paqueta said at the end of it all, "I'm sorry if I'm not perfect," and nonetheless red carded at the same time. It's coming up to just after 1:45 this Monday lunchtime. Now, if you cast your mind back to before the international break, bombshell news came out of Celtic, did it not? Brendan Rodgers had quit the club, and in comes, on an interim basis, our good friend here at talkSPORT, Martin O'Neill, Celtic legend, of course, having done what he did in his spell as manager at the club before. Celtic fans love the man, and they love him even more now because in the short spell he's been in charge, 7 games, won 6, just lost the once in Europe. But what now for Celtic's popular interim manager? Martin O'Neill, good afternoon.
Hello there. How are you, Jim?
I'm good. I'm alongside Simon and Martin Keown in surroundings that you're very familiar with. What about yourself? Are you coming to the end of this interim spell as manager at the club?
Yeah, I thought it was actually over on Sunday, yesterday, but I think there's some paperwork still to be dealt with, and when the new manager comes in, so. Wednesday will definitely be my final game.
Definitely, and that's against Dundee, and it's at Celtic Park, which is very fitting. Can you confirm I know I'm putting you on the spot, Martin, to a degree. You can confirm to us that that Nancy is on the way, Wilfred Nancy is on the way, and he takes over on a permanent basis?
Yeah, well, it's not confirmation from me, Jim, but it would be pretty well... I think that is that's the viewpoint anyway. So confirming it or not, it's not the point. But he is the man that will be coming in.
Okay, and then if that's the case, and you go after the Dundee game in midweek, Nancy will arrive and take over Celtic, and his first game in charge is against Hearts, which is a table topper.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice one for him. It's a nice introduction. It'll be a difficult game. Of course, it'll be a difficult match. Not too many easy ones, but So naturally, wish him well. And he's at least he's getting a side that's got a bit of confidence, or certainly restoring of confidence.
How's it been for you, Martin? The experience?
It's been really surreal, Jim, and. It's like a part of your life that you think, well, did that really happen? You know, I think that it's yeah. Am I delighted that I've done it? Absolutely. I remember Simon calling me and saying, well, just go for it, and so I'm delighted to have done so.
The same Simon sitting right beside me.
Yeah, well, it's great. I mean, potentially, Martin, after we helped exhume you from your football grave, you are likely to be leaving Celtic on top of the SPFL, aren't you? If you win the game, if you win the game on Wednesday without discounting Dundee, you'll leave them top of the Premier League, won't you?
You could, but Hearts I think play the same evening. So
do they? Right.
If you win the game in hand, you would go top of the league. So from an 8-point deficit, that would be nice. But listen, I would never be. Wednesday's big game. It's my last game, and it's a game that would obviously want to try and win.
Martin, we were together, weren't we, that morning, and because just a few hours later you were kind of thrust into this top job. You've done an amazing job. I'm not going to talk to you about the one game you've lost. I'm just going to look at how well you've done.
No, we lost to Michelin. That was a tough game for us, Martin, because a couple of weeks earlier I had actually been to the City Ground where they absolutely mauled Nottingham Forest. They beat them up. Physically too strong for them, and that's something to say about a Nottingham Forest side that are quite physical themselves. So from that viewpoint, that was a difficult match. But you
put it right though. You put it right after the Feyenoord game, haven't you? You did exceptional in that game.
Yeah, to go to Feyenoord and win away from home was terrific. So we've given ourselves a bit of a chance. We've got 3 games left. We need a couple of more points to try and qualify, which would be great. But that was a restoration of
Martin,
football.
Is this just a cameo for you now, or is it the end in terms of management? Because it's, you must look at it from afar as we do, and then you go back in it. You find yourself on the inside. Was it much easier or more difficult than you'd expected?
Oh well, it wasn't easy. There's a feel of failure for a start. Your fear of failure, I should say. That is always a big concern. I think that I used to always, I think, boast to Simon that I could do the job equally as badly as a lot of other managers, so from that viewpoint, I've actually learned a lot. I've had great young coaches beside me, boys who have actually managed, and that has been great. But it's been a reinvigoration of me in many aspects, because dealing with young people every single day, it's, you certainly do not, I feel as if I'm like.
Did you notice, Martin? Did you notice, Martin, that Keown brought up the fact that you lost the game? Is the end near, and was it easy? And do you know why that is? It's because you custard pied his message when he sent you a congratulations for getting the job. Did you notice that? I'm used to that.
Well, it's interesting, Martin, because I have every intention of sending all these messages back, and I didn't mean to custard pie.
Do you know what I said to him? I said to him, if I was managing, there's so many things that Martin has to deal with. Look, you've done an amazing job. I just wonder if it whets the appetite to carry on in some other club.
I genuinely don't know. I'll have a wee think about things just after Wednesday evening.
Well, Martin, let me put you right in the spot. Every time Celtic played with you in interim charge, the fans were singing your name. And behind the scenes at the moment with the board and the events of the AGM, there was a fair bit of disquiet amongst the supporters. If the club was to offer you a position of some sort, and Nancy comes in and takes over on a permanent basis, but they were to offer you a position within the club, and it's theoretical, obviously, would you give it considerable thought? Is it likely? Is there anything you can tell us on that one?
No, I really don't know. And I think that is really for the incoming manager to decide. I think that's the most important thing, that he should be given free rein to go, obviously pick a staff, which he'd want to do, and anything else concerning football as well too. That should be really up to him. If the incoming manager wants my opinion on things over the last number of weeks, that's fine. If he doesn't, it's not a problem to me at all. But I would never advise him. There's no such thing as advice to a fellow manager in that sense. But really, that's entirely up to the new manager, and I think that's only right.
Yeah. Martin, with the manager coming in, so you've got this game against Hearts. Is it kind of a collaboration with you and the new manager, because you're handing the reins over in perhaps one of the biggest games of the season?
Well, no, there's been no talk of collaboration. I assume that the manager who's coming in will have had looked at our games, certainly our recent games, and then made some sort of decisions for himself. Again, I get back to the point. No, there isn't a collaboration, and it's very much his team. The minute he steps into the breach.
Are you going to be emotional on Wednesday night after the game against Dundee?
You mean, am I going to cry?
Are you going to cry?
Don't be stupid.
Oh, that's right. I'm a mop head.
I'm looking for a headline, aren't you, Jim?
Oh, you've remembered that. I do apologise.
Oh, Martin, there is a seat waiting for you here whenever you want to come back. You know that.
Well, that is very kind of you. Thank you very much, Jim. That might not be